Okay, so Jen McCabe is testifying on the stand. We are in day 6 of the Karen Reed murder retrial. Now, yesterday we had a very important witness testify on the stand in direct examination, and he was the Cellbrite guy. He did testify in the first trial, and honestly, I'm going to say this: I think his testimony was very compelling for the state. We have more information now in regards to John O'Keefe's phone, and I think having temperature data is quite helpful. There was a cross examination that was done today, redirect, and then I was actually just finishing up his testimony, and then I saw Jen McCabe testifying in the stand, so I wanted to hop in and do the live stream with you guys. Now, for what was I going to say? The cell phone guy. So I was going to stream yesterday's testimony. However, when I was watching it on my own, I was like, oh shit, I had to pause so many times to really like take all my notes down and everything. And there were some things that were said where I was like, wait, I need to slow it down really quick. I need to make sure I'm like understanding this. So I felt like it would have been too disruptive to do this on a live stream, and we would have taken forever to get anywhere with his testimony. So that's why I watched it on my own, but I'm happy to go over with you guys later on, maybe if you guys have any questions or anything, because I thought it was really compelling. Now, I wanted to hop on with you guys because I was just finishing up the Cellbrite guy's testimony, and I saw Jen McCabe's testimonies popping up. So I was like, okay, well, let's do this together. Hopefully it won't be super unhinged, but guys, I hope you guys are doing well. Hello, hello. And honestly, let's just like jump right into it. But hi, Rain. Hi, Taxi. How is everyone? I hope you guys are doing well. Let me make sure that I have my notes up. Man, I feel like my computer's gonna run out of space soon because how much notes I'm taking for all this trial stuff. We're in day 6, right? Yeah. Day 6. Let me scroll down, and then we have Jen McCabe. All right, Jen McCabe. I think she's witness number 12. Witness number 12, Jen McCabe. Oh boy, let's see how this is. Honestly, I should bring up her testimony from last year and have it side-by-side comparison or something like that. Hi, Moondog. How are you doing today? Hi, Lou. Hello, hello. Yeah, guys, thank you so much for joining us. And honestly, let's just get started because I do want to listen to parts of her testimony in real time and not sped up. We are going to speed up the beginning, though, because I think the beginning is usually just like, we don't really care about the beginning stuff.
Jennifer McCabe, M-C-C-A-B-E.
Ms. McCabe, how old are you?
I'm 49 years old.
Are you married?
Yes, I am married with 4 daughters.
Oh, hello. Hi, Kurt. How are you doing today? Taxi, thank you so much for the $2.49. Better than paying tithings for LDS. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate your support. Thank you, thank you. It is highly appreciated.
Without detailing your children's names, can you tell us a little bit about your family?
Sure. I have 4 daughters that are 16, 17, 19, and 21. 2 are in high school and 2 are in
If y'all don't mind, I am going to speed through this. I just want to get to the heart of the testimony.
college.
In raising your children, was your family active in local sports?
Yes, all 4 of my daughters played multiple sports from when they were young. 2 now are playing in college. My husband and I both coached them. My husband coached them from when they were young up through 8th grade in soccer, and I coached them in basketball.
Without telling me your address, what town are you from?
I'm from Canton.
How long have you lived in Canton with your family for?
I was born and raised in Canton, and now I'm raising my family there.
So your family, their whole life, you've raised them in Canton?
1 year we lived in Stoughton with my daughter.
Who do you live with now?
I live with my husband and my 4 daughters.
Can you briefly give me a little bit more background on your children's school and your participation in that and interaction with your children, raising them?
Yeah, so I was a teacher, and then once I had children, I stayed at home with them and basically was just kind of like your typical, small town mom. I was the room parent. I coached them.
I'll allow it, but when we...
She was the what parent?
Yes.
When I coached, I drove the kids back and forth on my team, would take them places, etc.
In the growth of your family and raising your children, at some point did you meet a gentleman by the name of John O'Keefe?
Yes.
Share with us meeting John O'Keefe.
Sure. When my 3rd daughter was in kindergarten, she became friends with John's niece. And during that kindergarten school year, unfortunately, Kaylee's mother and father both passed away, and John moved in the house and became Mr. Mom.
When John took over guardianship of the children, did you assist in an active role in helping him?
Yes. Kaylee and my daughter were very close, so she would come over and play. My daughter would go over there. Kaylee would come and have sleepovers. A lot of times it would be on Friday nights. I would have Kaylee, and then another individual would have Patrick.
Had you known John O'Keefe well before he took over guardianship of the children?
No.
During the time when he was the guardian of the children, did your relationship, not just with his niece and nephew, but with him, grow any closer?
Yes, we became very good friends.
How close of friends did you become over the years?
Well, throughout the years, obviously, when they were younger, we talked more, just about the logistics of CCD, pick-up, drop-off, basketball, sports. But then he would also call me, about, as the girls got older, the girl drama or, the hormones and things like that. He would also come over, and hang out and have a beer and, just talk about whatever was new in his life or going on or, just the day in and day out struggles of his, life and raising the kids now and figuring it all out with, work and family and all that.
Leading into January 28th of 2022, so the jury understands, how close was your friendship with John O'Keefe at that time?
He was a very good friend of mine that I knew I could call for anything.
For some reason, I have my notes on her cross-examination last year, but I don't have her direct examination. Oh, this must have been the time where I was taking notes on my phone/iPad, and I don't think I transferred them over. No!
You take us forward to January 28th, 2022. Do you remember that day?
Yes, I do.
Do you remember it well?
Yes.
Take us to the early morning hours, January 28th, 2022. Did you learn there may be weather or a storm coming?
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about that.
We all saw the report that there was going to be a big storm, a nor'easter. So we all knew that basically all the Saturday activities were going to be canceled.
That includes sports?
Yes.
Was and is the sporting events for the children a big part of your life?
Yes. Back then I had, two in high school that played 3 sports, and they played club sports as well. And then the 2 middle school played club sports and town sports. So most of our weekends were taken up by kind of running from one sporting event to the next.
When you learned about the weather and the change in schedule, did it change your plans for that day?
No, not particularly. I had my day was pretty set out. I had my niece, and then I had
Yeah, I don't want to be mean, but I do notice what you're talking about, Evoke.
sporting events. It was kind of my plans for the next day that obviously got changed.
Take us through the afternoon of the 28th. What's happening?
Well, I had my niece for the weekend. She was picked up. My oldest was on the hockey team, and she was having a team dinner at the house, so I picked up pizza, got desserts, set it up for them. And then I left with my daughters and my husband, Matt, and we met some of the parents from the high school basketball team at a local pub to grab a bite and a drink before the basketball game because my other daughter played on the high school girls basketball team.
What
Hi,
time was
lady.
the basketball game set for that night?
I believe it was 6 or 6:30.
Did you and your family go to the game?
Yes, we did.
After the game, what happened?
After the game, I drove my daughter home. My sister, Nicole, sent me a text and said that she was going to be at the waterfall, and it was my nephew's birthday. He was going to meet up, and did I want to come by for a drink?
What is your nephew's name?
Brian Jr.
It was his birthday that night?
Yes, it was.
When you received the call to meet with friends and family at the waterfall, do you remember what time that plan was made?
I don't. My sister sent me a text at some point letting me know she was going to be there, so I don't know what time.
After the game and after some time, did you go to the waterfall to meet your friends and family?
Yes, I did.
Describe very briefly, what's the waterfall?
It's just a local town bar.
Do you remember about what time you got to the waterfall?
About 9 o'clock.
When you got there, was there anybody there that you knew?
Yes.
Okay, now take us inside the waterfall. When you get there, who do you see?
I walk in and I see Julie and Chris Albert, my niece Caitlin, my sister Nicole, and my niece's boyfriend Tristan.
You said you saw Julie and Nicole Albert in the waterfall?
Yes.
Were you related to either of them?
Nicole is my sister.
So Brian Sr. would be your brother-in-law?
Yes.
Also, you mentioned there was a niece?
Yes, Caitlin.
Is that Brian and Nicole's daughter?
Yes.
You mentioned the name Tristan. What's his relationship to your niece, to Brian Albert's niece?
He's now her fiance.
Was there anybody else I missed?
That's all who was there. I'm not sure if Nick Kolakidis was already in there when I got there or if he arrived right after. And then his wife joined us.
So when you're in the bar and you see your friends, what do you do next?
I immediately just, join them and sit down.
Were you eating, drinking?
I know I ordered a beer. They had appetizers on the table. I'm not sure whether I had any or not.
Were you drinking alcohol that night?
Yes.
As you're spending time with your family, did the night grow?
Yes.
Who wasn't drinking that night?
Did you stay at the table where everybody was eating, or did you move inside the bar?
We were pretty much right around the table.
Okay. Did anybody you knew join you or join the group at some point?
Yes, a little while later, Brian Albert and Brian Higgins joined us at the waterfall.
So when you first got there, was Brian Albert already there?
No, he wasn't.
Is that your brother-in-law, Brian Albert?
Yes.
And you said Mr. Higgins. Did you know Mr. Higgins?
I had met him a few times when he was out with Brian.
You had met him a few times before that night?
Yes.
Were you friendly with him?
He was a friend of Brian's.
Was he your friend?
No, he was Brian's friend.
You knew who he was?
Yes.
So when Mr. Albert and Mr. Higgins joined the group later, did they come directly to you, or did they stay somewhere else inside the bar?
No, they came over to our table, I believe.
How long were you in the waterfall for that night?
Approximately 9 to little around midnight-ish.
About 3 hours?
Yes.
Do you have an estimate how many drinks you had, alcoholic drinks you might have had?
I don't. I don't know. Maybe 2, 3.
Throughout the night, were you feeling any effects of the alcohol?
Not that I recall, no.
What was she drinking again? Was she drinking White Claws or something like that?
When the group was together, you mentioned a number of people have joined. Were you joined by other people later?
Yes.
Who were you joined by later?
John O'Keefe and Karen Reed.
And you talked about your relationship with John O'Keefe.
Yes, earlier, yes.
Did you make plans with him, or did he just show up?
I believe he had started the conversation about the night with Chris Albert.
Sarah, it's confusing, I know. So Sarah's, hello, I'm so confused with this trial. Oh, I bet you are. They think Karen Reed killed her husband, question mark. They believe Karen Reed was involved in murdering her boyfriend, who's John O'Keefe. He was a Boston police officer. They believe that she was really drunk in a drunken rage, dropped him off, and then she backed up into him, and then she left him out in front of someone's house. But the defense's theories, to answer the rest of your question, is there new evidence that it might not be her? Question mark. And this lady hates Karen. So the defense's theory is that Karen Reed did drop off John O'Keefe at the house. However, John O'Keefe went inside the house, and then maybe a fight erupted where an entire family affair thing happened, and then they left John O'Keefe's body in the front of the front lawn, in the front of the front yard, and then subsequently just let him die out there in the cold. And then there's the defense's allegations that it's a giant conspiracy. It's a cover by the family of the house and then the people and the friends that were hanging out with him that night as well. Does this lady hate Karen? I'm sure she does hate Karen. There's a lot of vitriol between the people that are involved in being inside the house and then Karen Reed, because everyone's pointing fingers at each other. It's a lot. That's why when someone asks me, I want to get started into the Karen Reed stuff, where do I start? I'm like, I don't know, dude. That's a hard question to answer. Someone said they started with a wiki page and it was a lot for them. And then if you just want maybe like an easier way to digest it, maybe like pick up like some of the docs that are out there, maybe watch a couple of docs, and then just weave into like some YouTube videos as well. But it's a lot. It's a lot of stuff.
Chris Albert is a different Albert than Brian Albert.
Yes.
How was the relationship between them?
Brian Albert and Chris Albert are brothers.
Was Chris Albert there when Mr. Higgins and Brian Albert arrived?
Yes.
Right. So lady says they never looked into the house because where he was at because there were cops. Yeah, there's a couple theories about that. The defense is saying that the reason why there was never a investigation into the people inside the house is because they are cops or they're a family of cops and they have connections to cops. The other theory is that the reason why law enforcement didn't really do a thorough investigation or do like a search warrant of the home is because everyone in the house said, well, he never came in, and they took their word for it. But it's like, well, should you have still investigated anyways? Would a search warrant been approved? So there's a lot of questions because the investigation, unfortunately, I mean, we haven't gotten to law enforcement yet, but in trial one, when we got to law enforcement, the investigation was like, what the fuck? A lot of jaw-dropping moments.
Actually, Chris, did I miss him? Because Chris was there with Julie. Did I? I'm not sure if I said that when I was naming everyone at the table. I apologize.
You may have.
Okay.
So when you first got there, he was at the table with your
Yes.
sister?
Yes, he was.
When moments before John O'Keefe arrived with the defendant, what was the mood in the group?
Cheerful. Good mood. Everybody was just out having a drink. We all knew the storm was coming tomorrow, and, just a typical average night.
Celebratory?
Yeah.
You said you were going to see Brian Albert Jr. for
Yes.
his birthday. Was Brian Albert Jr. at the waterfall when you got there?
No, he was not.
Was Brian Albert Jr. there anytime when you were at the waterfall?
No, he was not.
Without relating a conversation with some other person, did you have an understanding where Brian Albert Jr. was?
He was at home.
Did you historically or typically see Brian Albert Jr., your nephew, on his birthday?
Yeah, typically we always, get together. We try to and do a cake for whoever's birthday it is, and then whatever, aunts or cousins are around come over.
When John O'Keefe arrived at the waterfall with the defendant, do you have a general estimate or guess, not guess, but a general estimate of what time they arrived?
Approximately 11.
When they first arrived, did you see them?
Yes.
Where did you see them coming from?
I saw them walk in.
When they walked in, did you react in any way?
Yes, I was happy to see them
Why were you happy to see them?
because I loved John and I liked Karen.
So you were happy to see John?
From what I gathered, she looks more guilty during her first trial, and now she looks less guilty for this trial. No, not quite. I think this is my sentiment. I could be completely wrong. I think gosh, it's so hard to really describe what was going on in trial number one But I think a majority, well, sorry, I don't want to say a majority of people because I don't really know that. I think there were some people who thought that, okay, it's potential that Karen Reed could be guilty, that maybe she did it, it was an accident. There are some people that were like, whew, I don't know, man. The investigation in the very beginning with all the law enforcement testifying how they collected the evidence, how the evidence was stored, how things were processed. It's a little bit sweaty. It's a little bit yikes. We're not really quite sure if she really even did it because the investigation was so bad. I think that like in the first trial, people weren't sure and it kind of just kept getting worse and worse. And then when you would think that the medical examiner or the crash reconstructionist guy would put everything all together in a way that you would be able to cohesively understand what the fuck happened to John O'Keefe. I think at that point, people were just very disappointed because the people that were testifying either were just like felt like they were very underqualified, or we just really have a good we didn't have a good explanation of what happened. So that's why I understood why a mistrial happened, because I think it was just very confusing. It was kind of all over the place, and people just weren't really sure what really happened. Although we did hear back from jury feedback that I think like 8 members of the jury thought it was potentially maybe manslaughter. I don't know. They were maybe arguing it. It seems like all 12 of them agreed that it wasn't second-degree murder. Now, I will say this about trial 2. Trial 2 is way cleaner. It's because, the state has learned from its mistakes. It's put up witnesses that are more relevant, and we're not just going through what witnesses, just put them up there just for the sake of like telling us, oh, it was snowing, that people were drinking that night, blah, 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 blah. It's a lot cleaner now. But in trial number 2, we haven't gotten to law enforcement yet. That's when things start getting really fucking messy. And I think that's why a lot of people have the theory that like, oh, there could be a conspiracy, there could be a cover up, or there could be, some really fucky shit happenings because law enforcement just really dropped the ball. So once we get to law enforcement, even though I think the state has built a pretty decent case so far, and I think the Cellbrite guy was very compelling, it potentially could really fall apart when we have law enforcement go out there and testify. And that's a huge issue because law enforcement did the investigation. I don't know. So I think so far we're doing okay. Let's see what happens with Jen McCabe, because I think her cross-examination is going to be super fiery. Okay, the cross-examination is going to be fucking wild. I think the defense team, they have a good slew of like attorneys that are doing really good with their cross examinations, and I think they do a good job at taking something that could be a mistake into something like, oh, well, is it really a mistake, or are you just fucking lying? So for me, I always attribute to like, oh, it's probably a mistake. It's until like, if it's like a pattern of like someone lying over and over and over again, when I'm like, okay, it's probably malicious. But yeah, so I'm just rambling here at this point. But I think right now, I think things are okay for the state. It's just that when more people start testifying, the law enforcement, I think it's going to get a little bit sweaty. All right, back to Jen McCabe.
Yes, very.
You were happy to see the defendant?
Yes.
Do you remember your first interaction with either John or the defendant that night inside the waterfall?
I believe John walked over to where I was, kind of to my end of the table, and then maybe Karen had walked to the other end of the table. But I would assume I probably hugged both of them when I saw them.
I'm going to ask you not to assume. If you don't know, that's
Okay.
okay. You said that you had known the defendant as well.
Yes.
Do you remember how long she had been dating John O'Keefe up until that point?
I know I met her in July of 2020.
Had you had a chance to spend time or interact with her over that time before that night at the waterfall?
Yes, I had.
And share with us some of the moments or some of the reasons that you would interact.
The first time I met Karen, John had reached out. We would do pool days with him and his niece and his nephew. So he had told me he was dating a new girl and he wanted to bring her over. He said that she had multiple sclerosis. I also have multiple sclerosis. So he thought that that would be something we could, we would talk and bond over. I said, yeah, great, bring her over. So her and John and Kaylee and Patrick came over. We had a pool day. I liked Miss Reed immediately. I thought we hit it off. It was really great, talking to someone my age that also had MS, because I didn't really know a lot of people who have it. So it was really nice to have somebody to relate to. Then moving forward, we would see them, it was my daughter's birthday party. When it was time for pickup, they would come in, have a couple drinks. Same thing for like a Halloween party, after basketball games.
So you spent time both with John and Miss Reed?
Yes.
Did you spend time with the defendant separately without John around?
No.
Did you become friendly with her?
Yes.
And were you friendly that night?
Yes.
I will say she is very tan. She is like out like doing stuff in the sun. Like, isn't it really cold over there still? Or summer just started? She must have went on like vacation somewhere. She's looking very tan up there.
After John and the defendant entered the bar and you agreed, did you interact or spend time with Miss Reed at the waterfall?
Yes, I did.
And speaking of the defendant, do you recognize her here in the courtroom?
Yes, I do.
Could you kindly point to her and describe an article of clothing she's wearing?
She's sitting right over there with a black shirt or a blue.
Is she between Attorney Jackson and Attorney Yannetti?
Yes, she is.
Okay. When you were at the waterfall
Ooh, you think they made eye contact? Possibly, right?
that night, do you remember who you were speaking to or where you were spending your time?
As to earlier in the night or after?
I'm sorry, after Mr. O'Keefe and the defendant arrived.
Yes, Miss Reed came over and spoke to me because I had seen her the Saturday before, and she had told me how she had started a new medication, and it was giving her some awful side effects. And I said, I'm shocked they put you on that, etc.
Let me not ask you about conversations you
Okay.
had, but about the moment that you were in. Did you spend time with Ms. Reed that night?
Yes, I did.
Inevitably, did you drink more alcohol as the night went on?
I believe I had, like I said earlier, a couple of drinks, 2, 3, not sure.
Did you ever have a shot of alcohol?
I do not believe I had the shot, no.
Did you see the party, the group of friends and family doing a shot?
I was in the bathroom and walked out, and they were doing or had just done a shot.
Okay. With the court's permission, I'd like to display parts of Exhibit 22, which has already been introduced into evidence, which is video surveillance footage from the waterfall.
Okay.
At 10:54:20, please. Just stop for 1 second. Do you recognize what's in that video?
Yes.
And what is that?
Hi,
That
Jen.
is the waterfall.
Okay, kindly proceed.
I was explaining earlier in the beginning of the stream that I was planning on streaming the Cellbrite guy's testimony, but because I had to keep pausing so many times and taking notes, it would have been too disruptive for stream. So I recommend y'all go watch the Cellbrite guy's testimony. I thought it was pretty compelling. But yeah, it would have been too disruptive for me to keep pausing, take notes, rewind, take notes, and all that stuff. So I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna watch it on my own. But yeah, I thought it was pretty good. This camera sucks.
If you could stop. Do you see the two people entering from the left?
I do.
Do you know who they are?
I believe that is
Do you see anything? All I see are fucking ghosts in here. Okay, I can't see shit.
Miss Reed and John O'Keefe.
And not only that, the fucking timestamp just covered. Who installed this camera? I'm pissed. Who installed the security camera? Look at the timestamp. It covers everything. You won't be able to see anything.
Ms. Gilman, is there any way to
This is like some fucking like paranormal activity right now, man.
enlarge at the top of the video where the other people are closer to the table or bar? No. Okay. Looking at this video, can you tell or identify anybody under that timestamp? And if you can't, that's okay, but if you can you tell us who you see?
I think the guy right there, well, where she just is Brian Higgins.
Okay. If you could go up a little bit, Ms. Gilman.
Excuse me? How? Okay, I guess. It looks like a guy who's like hunched over and he looks kind of big. All right. No. Oh, gosh.
I believe that's my husband, Matt. And
On the
then
right?
On the right, and I think that's me on the left.
Okay. And if you can go down the table to the left, Ms. Gilman. You recognize who that might be from the clothing?
I'd have to take a guess that
Okay,
it could
don't guess. It's okay.
Okay.
If you don't. Anybody else at the table more to the left do you recognize?
not from this picture.
Ms. Gilman, could you highlight where Ms. McCabe thinks that she is on that video with that circle you just had and play the video?
Quick, what are you thinking? I don't know. Something related to furries. Am I right? The Ghost of Canton. This is like Letitia level camera quality. Letitia had a better camera quality, okay? You could see like the fringes and all like the little hairs in her coming out of her head. What do you say, the nappiness?
If you could stop. Is that you clapping, Ms. McCabe?
Yes, it is.
Why are you clapping?
Because I was happy to see them.
Both of them.
Yes.
Okay. Could you continue, please? And who's that person walking right to left hugging people?
That is John O'Keefe.
Can you continue, please, Ms. Gilman?
All right, y'all. I'm sorry, but fuck Karen Reed, okay? I know y'all want to look at her face, but I can't see shit. We're gonna have to do a zoom in. I know you want to see Karen's face, but honestly, Karen's face looks the same throughout trial. I don't think you're seeing anything interesting just by looking at her. So let's see if we can try to zoom in on this. All right, Karen. See you later. Let's see. Zoom in. Does this help? No, I don't think it really helps. Let's go with it for a bit.
Are you interacting with anybody?
I can't see where I am.
Is she crying?
If you could stop the video, please. Could you
Oh, I think so.
move ahead to 11:26:50, please?
11:26.
11:26:50. Is that your group still at the waterfall?
Yes, it is.
Oh,
If you could stop there, Ms.
wait, you know what I could do? Hold on a second. We could do this. If you guys still want to see Karen, give me a second. Karen! There you go. Boom. We could put them in where? Come here, Karen, come here. Don't run away from me, Karen. She could go right here. There you go. There you go. There. We can see everyone now.
Gilman. If we could hone in or circle where you were previously, where we saw Ms. McCabe. I know it's a bit blurry. If you can, and if you can't, please let me know. Can you see whether you're in that area?
I believe I am, yes.
Could you put the circle down just a little bit, Ms. Gilman? Okay. Now, if you could play from 11:26:50 to 11:27, please. We're a little bit ahead right now. Who are you hugging there?
I believe that's Miss Reed.
Thank you. One more, Ms. Gilman. I'm going to
Hi,
ask you to move
Shaniqua.
forward to 11:46.
Anyone know which Brian? She was texting Brian Higgins, not Brian Albert. Brian Albert is married. That would have been a whole shit show if she was also texting a married guy. Okay, no, but she was married. She was not married. She was texting Brian Higgins, who works with, was it ATF? Yeah, ATF. Higgins is the one that Jen McCabe identified initially. I think it's like this dude right here. He's kind of a big dude. Big dude. I think that's him.
Could you pause, Ms. Gilman? Could you circle in that same area where Ms. McCabe was last describing? Can you make
Shots.
anything out in this video?
Yes, it looks like they're all, toasting or doing a cheer before they do a shot.
I think Karen said that, oh, it was in an interview that they played of her. Karen said that when she got to the waterfall, I think John had bought her a drink, and then also Brian Albert bought like a round of shots for everyone.
Can you see whether or not the defendant's in that part of the video?
Yes, it looks like she is in front of the man in the plaid coat.
Were you participating with the drinking at this moment?
I don't see myself in the video. I don't believe I was.
But you were drinking separately that night, weren't you?
Yes, I was drinking beer.
You can continue, please. Thank you. Shortly after the shot, was there conversation about leaving the waterfall as a group?
Yes, there was.
Was there any discussion about where the group should go?
At first, Miss Reed was asking if we could go up the street to D&E.
What's D&E?
D&E is a sub shop that's owned by Chris Albert.
Was it open that late at night?
No, it wasn't.
Had you in the past gone to that pizza shop after hours to eat?
Yes, we had.
And tell us what the defendant was saying?
She just kept asking, can we go up to D&E? Can we go up to D&E? She wanted just to go up and, Chris makes food, and then we were going to go all, she wanted us all just to go up there and eat and hang out.
That wasn't an uncommon occurrence for the group to sometimes go to that pizza shop after hours, was it?
No.
Did the group decide to go to the pizza shop?
They decided they weren't going to go.
Okay. Was there a different plan made?
Before Brian Albert left, he said to the group, hey, we're going to go back home and have a beer with Brian Jr. If anyone wants to come by.
When you received the invitation to the group to go back to Brian Albert's house, did you decide whether you were going to go home or go back to your sister's house?
Yes, I decided I was going to go to my sister's house.
Without saying what was said, was there any discussion in the group among the participants about going back to your sister and Brian Albert's house?
Everybody seemed to want to go back.
Did anybody object to going back?
No.
Had you been to your sister's house before?
Yes.
Many times?
Yes.
Do you know the address of where your sister lived?
Yes.
And so, after that conversation, did you stay at the waterfall for a little bit, or did you leave immediately?
Probably left after maybe 5-10 minutes.
Without saying what was said, before you left, did you have a chance to speak to John O'Keefe?
I did, yes.
You spoke to him inside the waterfall?
Yes.
Did you have a chance to speak to the defendant?
Yes.
And was your plan to go back to your sister's house?
Yes.
Before you left, did you have any understanding whether or not Mr. O'Keefe and the defendant were going to join you?
Objection. I'll allow it. Do you have another understanding regarding that?
Yes.
And what was your understanding?
They were
I will allow it.
They were coming.
Who else was going to go back to your nephew and your sister's house?
Brian Higgins and my niece Caitlin.
A little after 12, did you leave the waterfall?
Yes.
Do you remember that night leaving?
Hi, Angie. These people need to stop drinking and driving. They need to learn how to order an Uber. I wonder in small towns if it's harder to find Ubers than if you're like in a larger city. Because usually when I call an Uber, it's because I'm in a larger city. But then if you call an Uber where you're like not in a major city, sometimes it's like 30 minutes arrival. But yeah, these people need to figure out their shit. I'm sure maybe they have by now. Maybe they learned their lesson. But yeah, pretty fucking wild. You've had a what? A white hot tooth pain impairing me today? Oh, that sounds painful. Did you have to go to the dentist or anything or get some Orajel? I watched a friend say the Celebrate witness got ripped apart. Really? I want to hear what your friend says about that. I thought he did pretty okay. When he was being cross-examined by Mr. Alessi, who is really fucking good, by the way. But when he was being cross-examined by Alessi, I thought he sounded like he wasn't super combative. Because usually when witnesses, when they're being cross-examined, will get really defensive, and I think it comes off like kind of weird. But yeah, he would just be like, it would be like, oh, okay, so you didn't include this in the report. No, I didn't include it in my report. Okay, so John could have been in any parts of the circle that you outlined here, even in the outside towards the house. Yep. And you said that he walked towards the house. He could have. It's like, I don't know. I felt like he was very fine. Not very fine, but I felt like he did a pretty good job at not being super defensive and yeah. Because I feel like sometimes like if you have like a witness who's supposed to be like a like someone who just like looks on like facts and I guess evidence. Mr. Brennan's favorite phrase right now. I feel like if you're too defensive, it might seem like you're just like you care more about your ego than just like representing the evidence for how it really is. But I thought he did pretty good for cross-examination, especially against Mr. Alessi, because Mr. Alessi does a really good job at questioning people. You've been in pain all day. Oh gosh, tooth pain is one of the worst. Although I will say that I have a friend. We were talking about gout recently. Does anybody chat? You guys have gout? Apparently gout pain is like really excruciating. My friend was telling me how gout pain was almost as bad as childbirth or maybe even worse. I forgot what he said. But yeah, we're like talking about that. I hope no one in my chat has gout though.
Yes.
Before you left, did you talk to anybody in particular?
Yes, Miss Reed and then Mr. O'Keefe.
Did you speak to them inside the waterfall?
I walked out with Miss Reed and we spoke at the doorway and then John joined us.
Oh my gosh, is your friend Filipino? I mean, one of them is Filipino. I was talking to a friend and I was talking about that. But they're all men. They're all dudes. And one friend is Chinese. We're figuring Dennis has gout. Dennis is Chinese. We're not sure yet, although my friend thinks he has denial gout. And then, yeah, they're like all guys. I don't know. It's like gout, like just like a dude's thing, and women just barely get it.
Did you invite Ms. Reed to come with you?
I did, yes.
Did she decline?
Yes.
And who did you go to your sister's house with? Who drove?
I drove and I went with my husband, Matt.
Anybody else?
No.
Do you remember about what time it was that you were speaking to Ms. Reed about going to your sister's house?
After midnight.
If I could have Exhibit 22 again, Ms. Gilman, if you could take us to 12/10/36. Okay, if you could stop it there, please. Did you have a chance to talk to Mr. O'Keefe and the defendant outside of the waterfall?
Yes.
And do you know specifically what time you left the waterfall?
It was after midnight.
After, okay. When you left the waterfall with your husband, you said you were driving. Did you stop anywhere along the way before you got to your sister's house?
No.
Tell us what you see when you get to your sister's house. What are the weather conditions like as you're driving there?
It's
Oh yeah, in our chat we have Jen McCabe and then we have Jen McTree.
starting to snow to the point where it's starting to like accumulate. It's on your car. It's just, getting on the street.
Is it light? Is it heavy?
It's light at this point.
How long does it take to get from the waterfall to your sister's house?
5 to 8 minutes, depending on lights and weather, etc.
When you first get to your sister's house, while you're still in the car, describe what you see.
My wipers are on. I'm just looking out the window, and it's snowing. It's dark.
Anybody in the driveway? Any cars in the driveway that you see?
Oh, when I pull up to my sister's?
Yes.
As I pull down the street, I take a left into the driveway, and there is a Jeep that's parked on the street, and there's maybe a couple of cars in my sister's driveway.
What do you do when you arrive at your sister's house?
I go in the house.
Now, there are a couple doors at your sister's house.
Yes.
Is there a front door?
Yes.
Is there a side door?
Yes.
Which one's closer to the driveway?
The side door.
Which door do you go in when you get to your sister's house?
The front door.
Was anybody with you when you went in?
My husband, Matt.
You walked in together?
Yes.
Tell us the first person you remember meeting.
When I went in the house?
Yes.
Probably my niece was at the table, and then I saw my nephew, Brian.
Was there anybody else you saw at the table?
5 to 10 minutes, depending on how many red lights you've run while wasted. True.
Julie Nagel and Sarah Levinson.
So when you walk in the front door of the house, is it what table? Is this a living room table, a kitchen table?
Oh, you walk in, and then you go to the right, and it's into the kitchen, and there's a table there.
Is the kitchen separate from the living room, or is it open?
It's open, but they're separate.
Can you see the kitchen table when you walk in the door if you turn and look right?
Yes.
And when you go into the kitchen, you said there was a woman by the name of Julie Nagel,
Yes.
and then another woman, Sarah?
Yes.
You know her last name?
Levinson.
Okay. Julie Nagel, did you know her when you walked in the house that night?
I had met her a few times.
Had you spent time with her? Were you friends with her?
No, I just had met her a few times, and she had watched my dog for me when my nephew couldn't.
When you would go away, would your nephew be responsible to watch your dog?
Yes.
Did you understand that Julie Nagel had watched your dog a couple of times?
Yes.
Had you ever socialized with her before that night?
No, I may have seen her at a graduation party, but never beyond that.
Were you friends with her at that point?
No.
Friendly enough that she watched your dogs?
Yes, through my nephew. He just said my friend's going to do it, and I
I see.
trusted his judgment.
And there was another woman by the name of Sarah. Did you know her before you saw her that night?
I knew of her. If I were to see her, I'd say hi, but that's the extent of it.
How did you know of her?
Just from being in the town, going to different sporting activities, and just being around.
You said your nephew Brian was there as well in the kitchen?
Yes.
This was his birthday?
Yes.
How old was he?
I think he was turning 23.
Was there anybody else in the house when you and your husband first got there?
Yes, my sister, and Brian Albert, and Brian Higgins.
So Mr. Higgins, Brian Albert, and your sister were there before you?
Yes.
Where was everybody when you first came in?
My niece Caitlin, Sarah Levinson, Julie Nagel, and Brian Jr. were all at the kitchen table. My sister was over, I think, cleaning the counters, and Brian were off in that TV room that you can see from the kitchen because there's a wide opening.
If you walk in the front door, would I look left or right to see the TV room?
You'd look right to the kitchen, and then through the kitchen's a TV room, but you could look, and when you walk in, you can see because it's open.
Is the TV room in any way have a relationship with that side door?
Yes, it does.
If you were to walk in the side door, would you be walking into the TV room?
Yes.
Okay. When you saw your nephew Brian Jr. and his friends, are his friends about the same age as him?
Yes.
Were they drinking?
Yes.
Was there music?
Yes.
And when you went in, did you spend time with the group?
Yes, I sat right down and started talking to them.
And when you were speaking to them, did you have any drinks that night?
I believe they brought me over a White Claw, but I didn't have more than a sip of it. I really wasn't. It was at that point where I just didn't want another drink.
Nah, man, it's because White Claws are nasty.
As you were in the kitchen, were you expecting anybody else?
We had mentioned it to Karen and John, and I had actually just spoken to John, so I was expecting them.
So when you saw John O'Keefe in the waterfall, that wasn't the last time you spoke to him?
No.
You had spoken to him, was it on the ride to your nieces? I mean, to your sisters?
Yes.
Did you call him or did he call you?
He texted me and I believe asked something like where to, and since I was driving, I called him.
When you called him, what did you tell him? What did you guys say?
I just said they live 34 Fairview Road off of Chapman.
Do you know if John O'Keefe had ever been to the Albert home before?
I don't believe he had.
In that conversation, how long did that conversation take?
It was quick.
Was there any other conversation that you had with him?
Maybe Angie just likes the UK flag, you know? Maybe she's really from Australia or something.
Other than that one conversation?
Yes, he called me back and he was trying to find it.
Trying to find the address?
Try to find the house on Fairview.
Did he ask you for help trying to find the address?
I'm not sure his exact words, but yes, he needed help. And so I just said, I told him just go down the street, go by Bella's house. It's at the bottom of the street.
So you used...
Is there a way to find out if John had the phone on speaker? Because Bella is the name of one of John's ex, I think, or someone that John dated. So I wonder if it was on speaker. And then Karen's like, Bella lives around here?
used Bella's house as a point of designation to try to guide him to get to your sister's house?
Yes.
Tell us who Bella was to John.
Bella is my daughter and John's niece friend. So Bella is friends with my daughter and John's niece.
Okay. And was there any...
Oh, sorry, Bella's mom. Sorry, not Bella, Bella's mom.
relationship between Bella's mother and John that you knew of?
Diane, hi. How are you doing today? Hello, hello. How's it going? Bella's mom. I don't know, man. I guess like maybe she was drunk or wasted or something. But if I was giving directions to someone, I don't think I would tell them, oh yeah, it's right by your ex's or the girl that you dated's house. Just in case, you know, the person next to them might hear and they might be sensitive about it. I don't know. I don't know if I would say it. Even if I thought the relationship was secure and there was no jealousy issues, I just don't know if I would say it. Would I? I don't think so. It's kind of weird. Your Xbox friend. I love how you have an Xbox friend from like 2014. Told me the queen pays for it all. Jen, I'm due for a checkup as well. So I think around 300. That's pounds, right? Pounds? One of my daughters doesn't have. Oh, yeah, that's right. Because you guys did the Brexit. The whole team got moving here around Bella's mom. I think Bella's mom dated John or maybe briefly dated John. But apparently from Carrie Roberts' testimony that we heard recently, I do think that I think she said that when they were looking for John's body, Karen Reed said something about Bella's mom or something. And then how I forgot what she said though. Bella's mom hates me or Bella something like that. I don't know. While they're trying to look for John, let me see if I can find it. Bella. Is this Carrie Roberts' testimony? Yes. Okay, Carrie Roberts' testimony. Where does... Oh, Karen talking about Bella's mom. She never liked me. Carrie didn't know who Bella is. Remember, John dated her. What else do I have in my notes about Bella? Bella dated John. This is an old testimony from trial number 1. I think Karen thought John could be at Ashley or Bella's house, maybe. Karen spiraling, yelling about Ashley, Bella's mom. Maybe John is with her. Okay. That's what I have in my notes from trial number 1 and then Carrie Roberts' testimony from a couple days ago about Bella and Bella's mom. Bella's her kid. Yeah.
That is where...
Oh, look at this. You know what I've been watching recently? I just started watching You, the newest season. Jesse? You? Jesse? You? Similarities, maybe? Also, are we on a ad break right now? What's going on here? Also, his hair is looking like very fluffed. Got a nice blow dry going on.
It would be after 12:15, but before 12:30, approximately, between that.
Were you still driving when you had that conversation?
Yes.
And at some point you told us you arrived at your sister's home and went in?
Yes.
Okay. I'd like to move forward now to when you were inside the house. Tell us generally when you first got there and saw everybody, what were you doing?
I just sat down at the table. I started talking to them. We were listening to music.
Oh, hold on a second. Is it worth watching? I would say background noise. Background noise. I don't know. It's kind of interesting, but I feel like it's just cyclical, you know? Joe always does the same thing. The same shit. Same shit. Just different things, you know? I would say background noise. You know, have it around your iPad while you're doing like some house cleaning or something like that. Dishes, you know, laundry, giving a doggy a bath.
You'll see live by clicking the link below,
John,
scanning the QR code.
do you know about what time that was?
It would be after 12:15, but before 12:30, approximately, between that.
Were you still driving when you had that conversation?
Yes.
And at some point you told us you arrived at your sister's home and
Should I go on Court TV? Because I don't know if Law and Crime just had it cut off because of the ad thing. Let me see. Court TV. Let's see if Bella's mom came in or
John
not.
didn't come home.
Yes, I want to start The Pit. I hear it's really good. All right, let's jump to Court TV for a second. Oh, shit. Oh, God. There you go.
Thank you. May I?
Yes.
That second phone conversation you had with John, do you know about what time that was?
It would be after 12:15, but before 12:30, approximately, between that.
Were you still driving when you had that conversation?
Yes.
And at some point you told us you arrived at your sister's home and went in?
Yes.
Okay. I'd like to move forward now to when you were inside the house. Tell us generally when you first got there and saw everybody, what were you doing?
I just sat down at the table. I started talking to them. We were listening to music. Typical night.
Okay. Anything stand out as far as music or interaction with the group?
No, we were just laughing, telling stories. You know, at one point, I'm not sure if it was at some point, my other nephew had been over my house and had shown me this video on his phone, and it was a family inside joke. The video, it was a music video from a long time ago. And so I was telling my other niece and nephew, oh my gosh, you have to see this video. It's hysterical. And then we started playing it and watching it.
What was the video?
Oh, the It's Raining Men video. For some reason, they were looking into this. It was one of the things that was deleted by the system in her phone. I think Jen looks like a British child in pajamas from the early 20th century. I watched Dr. Mike react to Pitt, and he says it's pretty accurate how things happen in the hospital. Oh, I should ask my friend. I have friends that work in the hospital. I should ask them. Oh, it takes place in Pittsburgh. It's so good. My parents and I are watching it slowly, and we especially love because they live in Pittsburgh. Oh, also, I'll check it out. It's on, I think it's on HBO, right? Or sorry, Max. They rebrand as Max now. Has anyone here started watching Black Mirror? I finished episode 1 and 2. I'm like, it's like not bad, but it's not. I feel like Black Mirror episodes, because like there was so much hype around it, they started putting so much into production and like really like putting a lot of effort into their episodes. But I feel like these episodes were kind of just like more chill. I don't know. I think they were like as crazy. I enjoyed them though, but I didn't think they were as crazy as like the previous like last 2 or 3 seasons.
Video.
It's Raining Men.
Did that get a lot of playtime during that get-together?
Well, I have one sister who sometimes has a little too much to drink, takes out an umbrella, and will dance. So it's a family joke.
While you were at your sister's house, what area of the house were you spending time in?
And I was in the kitchen.
What was the mood of everybody in the house, as far as you remember?
Everybody was in a great mood.
Was there any fighting?
No,
Any arguing?
no,
Any violence?
no.
Was it a celebratory mood?
Yes.
Yeah, so Black Mirror, if you start from season 1, episode 1, it's probably like a turnoff for so many fucking people because episode 1 was fucking weird. I recommend if you want to start with Black Mirror and you just want to kind of like just dip your toes in it, start with I think season 3, if I remember correctly. Start with season 3 and then watch it forward. And then if you want to go backwards and go back to season 1 and 2. I liked 1 and 2, but I think maybe 3 and more recent are easier to watch for people. But yeah, episode 1, season 1 was like, what the fuck is this? I'm not watching this shit. Like, what the heck? No, thank you.
As you were in the house, were you waiting for anybody else that you expected to come?
Yes, I was expecting John and Karen to come.
At some point when you're in the kitchen, or let me ask you a little background. As you're in the kitchen of that house, can you see outside from the kitchen area?
They had blinds or something down, but if the blinds were up, you could see out.
Were the blinds up?
No.
At any point were you able to see outside from inside the house?
From the front door, yes.
Is the front door, is it glass?
Yes.
At some point when you were with everybody in the celebration, did you have a chance to look outside?
Yes.
And when you looked outside, what did you see?
I saw a dark SUV out front.
Hey, Sunset.
Did you know whose SUV that was?
I believed it was Karen's.
Could you see who was in it?
No.
At that point of night, what does the weather look like from the front door?
It's dark and it's snowing, and I could see, brake lights.
Did you see if that SUV moved at all?
I didn't see the SUV actually move, but I saw it in a few different locations.
How many times did you look out?
Can't give you an exact number of how many times I looked out. I can tell you I saw the vehicle first straight out from the front door. Then I saw it up at the flagpole, and then I saw it further up from the flagpole.
Were you studying the car at all?
No, it was quick glances.
Did you have any reason to study it?
No.
What were you expecting was going to happen?
I was expecting John and Karen to come into the house.
Did they ever make it in the house?
No, they did not.
As you were waiting, were you doing anything else in addition to waiting for them to come in?
Yes, so I was sitting at the table. Someone made mention of a car out front, so I got up, went to the door, looked out, and then I would go back to the table, and where we were just all laughing, talking, playing music, just hanging out, not really thinking much about anything.
Did you ever reach out to John when you thought the car out front was the defendant's car with John in it? Did you ever reach out to him?
Hi,
Yes, I
Efro.
did.
How did you reach out to him?
I texted him.
Do you know if there was a phone call that was made to you before 12:30? A 7-second phone call?
From John?
Yes.
I don't.
You mentioned you had spoken to him about directions. Is that the last time you heard his voice?
Yes.
When the car was out front, did you exchange text messages or were you simply texting him?
I was texting him.
Do you remember what you were texting him?
The first time I said here,
What do you mean by here? Was that
like
exclamation
here,
point?
here, question mark, because that's when I saw the car.
You were wondering whether that was him?
Yes.
Did you send any other text messages that you can remember?
After I saw the car move locations, when I saw it go up to the flagpole, I said, pull behind me.
And do you remember any other communications you had with him? Was he texting you anything?
No.
Did he ever text you again that night?
He never texted me again.
Never called again?
No.
Did you continue to text him over the next 15, 20 minutes?
I did, yes.
And so at some point, did you realize that John O'Keefe and the defendant weren't coming in the house?
Yes, when the car was gone.
Did you ever go outside through the storm down to the flagpole to speak to them?
No.
Why not?
Why would I?
I was just asking. All right.
I had no reason to.
So when you were in the house, at some point, did you notice that that car was gone?
Yes.
Were you marking the time or keeping track of it?
No.
After you didn't see the defendant's car anymore, did you stay?
Yes.
How long do you think you stayed for at the house?
I stayed till about around.
If y'all were in Jen's position, would you have gone to the car and been like, yo, what's up? Are you coming in or not? What would you guys have done? What do you think?
1:30, 1:45-ish?
Did anybody else come in the house up until 1:45?
No.
Did people leave at certain times?
Yes, people did leave.
Who was the first to leave?
Brian Higgins?
Do you remember about what time he left?
I don't.
And after Mr. Higgins left, do you know who left?
I'm not sure. I believe it was us, and then my niece Caitlin was also like at the door. It was kind of in a row. Brian left, and then a little bit later, I think it was, myself, Matt, Julie, and Sarah left. But Caitlin was at the door. I believe she was waiting for her ride.
How much longer after Mr. Higgins left did you leave?
Maybe a half. I honestly can't say. I think he was there for a while I was there. So maybe he left anywhere from 15 minutes, approximately 15, 20 minutes before I did, or maybe a little more.
You mentioned that you had left the waterfall after midnight,
Yes.
and you had phone calls with Mr. O'Keefe along the way.
Yes.
Listen, okay, if there's a couple that is in a parking lot in a car, or if they're like lagging behind, I always assume that they're fucking fighting. Okay, I don't go anywhere near shit. I just assume they're fighting. Now, if it's someone closer to me, like my brother or my sister, I might approach it just to see what's up. But like when it comes to friends, I'm like, nah. I'm assuming they're fighting, and I don't want to go over there because it's gonna be really fucking awkward. Have you guys ever walked in an argument between like your friends, like a couple friend? I remember this one time we went on vacation. We went to like the Caribbean or some shit, and I was trying to. This is like a long time ago. It was like my 20s or something. But essentially, I didn't have internet access to check to see if I was like what my job application was like pending or not. So I went to my friend's hotel, and I was like knocking on the door, and then I realized that they were fighting. I was like, oh shit, but I've already knocked on the door, so I've already committed. So I was like standing there for a little bit, and I was like gonna leave, but then the guy answered the door, and then I was like, oh, sorry to bother you. Can I borrow your laptop? I just want to check to see how my job application, if it's pending or not, if I got the job, And then I could hear his wife yelling in the background. Like I was like, holy shit, this is like so fucking awkward. I was like, yeah, you know what? Never mind. Bye. I'll leave. I'll see you later. But yeah, dude, like walking into like a couples fight is like, it's fucking awkward. I would look through my Ring camera. Yeah, I have good cameras everywhere. So, you do the camera thing, you zoom in, try to see what's up, try to be all nosy and shit. But to approach there, I don't know, man. I don't know.
Do you know that there are phone records with your text messages and phone calls in them?
Yes.
And do you know whether your phone records reflect the time of your calls with Mr. O'Keefe
Yes.
and your text messages?
Yes.
Maybe call. I was thinking about that too. Because I remember when I watched trial number 1, I was like, maybe I would have texted, maybe I would have called. But then I do remember recently where this was a couple months ago where we were supposed to meet up for pickleball, and there was a couple that lagged behind, and I think like we saw their car in the parking lot. And I remember not wanting to call, text, or check up the car because I didn't want to like bother them if they were arguing. Like if they want to come, let them come, but let them do their thing. I don't know. But when I was put in that scenario, I didn't really want to pester them.
When you were texting and Mr. O'Keefe, when the Lexus or the car was in front of the house, rather, was Mr. Higgins still there?
Yes.
They look like they sat through hair and makeup before taking the stand this trial. Girl, you have to. You know what? You know how many clips are going to be made out of this? How many thumbnails? Okay, you gotta try to look your best.
What are some of the things that everybody did along that night before you left?
Oh, she got a
What
tan,
happened in
maybe.
there?
What happened inside the house?
I don't know.
Nothing. We basically just sat around the table, talked, laughed, listened to music, chit-chatted.
Celebratory?
Yes.
Was there ever any fighting?
No, none at all.
Any arguing?
None at all.
Any physical interaction?
No, none.
When you decided to leave that night, did you say around 1:45-ish?
Yes.
When you left around 1:45, was there any events that happened that night that would cause you unrest or excitement or your heartbeat to raise?
No.
When you decided to leave, you and your husband, where were you going to go?
We were dropping off Julie Nagel and Sarah Levinson, and then we were going home.
Had you planned on dropping them off earlier in the night?
No, when we got there, Julie's brother had pulled up to pick them up, and
I won't ask you what was said because you weren't there.
Oh,
but
okay.
At some point, did you come to an understanding that you would give them a ride home?
Yes.
Did you offer?
Yes.
Who was going to drive home between you and your husband?
Matt drove home.
When you left, I want you to describe as you step out into the driveway or the walkway. Was it the front door or side door, if you remember?
I walked out the front door.
Is the weather like it was when you first got there?
No, it's picked up.
Tell us what you mean by it's picked up.
So as I walk out, you kind of go, the walkway is to the left. So I walk down the steps, I go to the left. The snow was coming, it was cold, the wind was picking up. So I kind of just like curled up and ran to my car quick to get in.
What part of the car did you get into?
Front passenger,
Who was driving?
Matt.
And where were the other two people?
Sarah and Julie were in the back seat.
Who was in what spot?
I'm not exactly sure.
So both of the young women were in the back seat?
Yes.
Was there any conversation when you got into the car?
We got in the car and they were teasing me
Why were they teasing you?
because I had like bread and maybe peanut butter in my car.
Why did you have bread and peanut butter in your car?
I had my niece for
Did you have a knife in there too? Like, what are you doing with the bread? Just dip it in the peanut butter?
the week, and I was dragging her like to all my kids' sporting events. So we'd go from like one game to another game to a practice. So sometimes instead of always giving her McDonald's or Dunkin' Donuts, I'd try to throw her a peanut butter sandwich.
And they were making fun of you?
Yeah,
As the car backs out of the driveway, tell us what you're doing.
I'm talking to the girls.
You just moved your head.
Yes,
Does that mean anything?
yes.
Tell us.
They were both sitting behind me, so I was like turning and, chatting and talking.
After your husband pulls out of the driveway, do you start to drive home?
Yes,
If the house is on my right and you're driving, are you in the passenger seat closest to the house or furthest away?
passenger seat closest.
So you're driving, if you look at a picture of the house, you would be driving from right to left?
Yes,
I don't know if that's someone's breathing or if it's like an inhaler or something.
So as you start to drive, or your husband starts to drive the car, what direction are you looking in, if you remember?
the back seat.
Did you drive by the front of the house, do you know?
We pulled out of the driveway and went up Chapman.
And your husband and you passed by the front of the house?
Yes,
Did you pass by the flagpole?
yes,
Were you looking at the flagpole?
no.
And how dark was it at that point?
It was dark.
Snow?
Oh, I thought she said duck donuts. I do not like duck donuts. They're like too cakey for me. Did she say Dunkin' Donuts? For some reason, I heard duck donuts.
Yes,
As you're passing the flagpole, do you hear or see anything remarkable?
no, I'm not really paying attention. I'm just chatting to the girls, and Matt's just focusing on driving.
When you're talking to the girls and they're making fun of you, what's the mood in the car?
We're all laughing and joking.
Where do you go next?
We drive Julie Nagel home.
After you drop off Miss Nagle, where do you go?
We drop off Sarah Levinson.
Is the weather constant?
Yes,
After you drop off the young woman in separate spots, where do you go?
we went home.
Can you tell us when you get home what happens next?
We go in the house. I go up to bed. Matt makes himself a snack and then joins me upstairs.
Do you have a telephone?
Yes,
An iPhone?
yes,
When you go to bed, do you stay up at all?
yes,
Do you use your iPhone?
yes, I do.
What were you doing?
I texted a few people and then I did a couple of Google searches.
And what were the searches for?
One, my daughter had played in a basketball game earlier in the night, and it was a very good game, so I went and I read the report on it. And then my other daughter had an offer to play on a basketball team, so we had to make a decision about whether or not we were going to accept the spot. So I was just looking up that basketball club.
Other than those regular searches that one would do, was there anything remarkable about what you were searching at 2:27, that time frame?
No,
After you were looking at websites for your child's sports, what did you do?
I put my phone down and went to sleep.
And up to that point, had there been any discord or fighting or arguments in your world?
No,
Peaceful night?
yes,
Did you go to sleep, Miss McCabe?
yes.
Did you sleep through the night?
I typically get up to go to the bathroom, so that I could have gotten up possibly to go to the bathroom.
Did anything remarkable happen in the early morning hours of January 29, 2022 that changed that peaceful mood into something else?
Yes,
Hey, Burrito Crunch, how are you doing today? Is the woman on the stand currently the one being charged? No, she is not the defendant. She is Jen McCabe, and the defense team believe that she is involved in a conspiracy cover-up. But no, she's not the defendant. I don't believe we're going to see Karen Reed testifying on the stand.
I want you to share with the jury the first thing that happens that changes everything.
I wonder if we can go back to this one. Maybe the audio will be better because, like, yeah, I don't know what's going on over there. Let's see.
People leave at certain times. In those regular searches, that moment to make a phone call and think about her demeanor.
possibly to go to the bathroom.
Did anything remarkable happen in the early morning hours of January
No, the audio's the same here too.
29, 2022 that changed that peaceful mood into something else?
Yes,
I want you to share with the jury the first thing that happens that changes everything.
At 4:53, my phone rings, and I look at my caller ID. I look at the phone, and it's Kaylee, John's
Kaylee?
niece. John's niece. And I say hello, and she said, yeah, well, basically, she relayed to me that
Next question, Mr. Weaver.
When you pick up the phone, could you hear a voice on the other end?
I heard a voice and a lot of screaming.
And the voice you heard, is that Kaylee, John's niece?
Yes,
And the screaming, was it a man or a woman screaming?
it was a woman,
How loud was that person screaming?
very loud.
Could you make out anything that person was saying as they were screaming?
My name was screamed a lot, and then the other individual ended up getting on the phone with me.
And who was that person that was screaming in the background?
Miss Reed.
How long was she screaming for while you were speaking to your niece before you spoke to her?
The entire time I was speaking to Kaylee, she was screaming.
Describe her demeanor.
Miss Reed's.
Yes.
Jen! Jen! And then she's screaming that John didn't come home. She left him at the waterfall. She was hysterical. It was very hard to follow what she was saying.
How long did that first call last for?
I'm not sure how long, maybe possibly a few minutes, but it was loud enough and long enough that my husband shot up in bed thinking one of my kids had come in the room screaming.
Without saying what your niece said, could you describe your niece's demeanor when you first spoke to her? I mean, John's niece's demeanor.
I would say Kaylee sounded concerned, uneasy.
Okay. During that phone call, other than the screaming and the screaming of your name, did the defendant give you any information other than she had dropped John off at the waterfall?
They had gotten into a fight. She had left him there, and he didn't come home.
And when you were woken up, were you in a sleep when you were woken up?
Yes, I was sound asleep.
What was your mental state like when you first woke up and got that call?
Well, I had been up late. I had taken my medication that I take for my MS, so I was definitely a bit groggy when I first woke up. So immediately I just wanted to help her. She was hysterical. Kaylee was upset. So I went into that kind of mom mode of what can I do? How can I help? So I immediately was like thinking, okay, well, if you left him at the waterfall, let me think who was still there, or, you know, how can I help you? How can we find John?
Did you have a plan when you ended that first call?
I did. I knew Chris Albert had still been at the waterfall when I left, so I thought if Karen and John had gotten into a fight, maybe Chris had walked out of the bar, and Chris lived local to the bar, thought maybe they walked back to Chris's together.
So what did you do?
So I called Chris Albert's wife, Julie.
Did you speak to her?
No, she never answered.
After you had a moment to make a phone call and think about things, did your head become any more clearer?
It did, and I was, reminded by my husband that we had seen Karen in John's car outside of Fairview.
When he reminded you, did you independently remember the text messages that you sent to John earlier that evening?
Immediately, I was like, oh my God, you're right.
Did you remember that you had seen what you believed to be the defendant's car in front of the house and near the flagpole?
Objection, Your Honor.
Watch the form.
Okay. What did you remember? What came to mind after you spoke to your husband about your memory from earlier that evening?
The minute he said it, I remember seeing the SUV and then all the text messages that I had had and the phone conversation with John.
So after the defendant spoke to you and said she had left the defendant at the waterfall and you had time to think about your memories, did you react or do anything with that?
Yes, I believe I called Kaylee back.
Why did you call Kaylee?
I didn't have Miss Reed's phone number.
When you called Kaylee back,
Jen says, okay, was he in the yard or the road? Because I keep hearing the snowplow almost hit him, but then they make it seem like he was on the Albert property. I think the theory is that he was on the front yard, near the flagpole or somewhere near the fire hydrant. But there's no photos of where his body was found because they were trying to save him, and then they quickly loaded him to the ambulance. No one thought of taking a picture of him during that time. So we don't really know exactly where. There's just like guesstimates of where he was. And it was somewhere around... Do we have a picture of the property? Because there's like a flagpole here. And then I think, so you have like the property, right? And then the flagpole, I think, would be like on the edge of the property, somewhere over here. I think the fire hydrant is more towards the house, but still really far away. But yeah, somewhere flagpole, somewhere fire hydrant, but not on the street.
did you speak to anybody?
Yes, I believe Kaylee and then Miss Reed.
When you first spoke to Kaylee, could you hear anything other than Kaylee?
The screaming.
Was it any different, or was it similar to the first time you spoke by phone?
Similar to the first time.
Regarding the demeanor or intensity, had it changed at all?
Not at all.
You mentioned the first time that you had that phone call, the defendant was screaming your name. Jen,
Yes.
Jen, Jen. Was she saying your name in the second call, or was it just general screaming?
My name. And then when she got on the phone, I had told her, Karen, I saw you guys outside of my sister's house. And then she told me she didn't remember being there. And then she went on to say, she started saying, could I have hit him? Did I hit him? I don't. And then she just was just all over the place, like screaming my name, screaming so many different things. She was hard to follow or understand.
When she was saying to you, did I hit him? Could have I hit him? Was that before or after you informed her that you had seen her out front of your sister's house?
It was after I told her that. She also informed me that she had cracked her taillight.
In that conversation, she told you that?
In one of the conversations I had with her in my bedroom, yes.
When you told her that you had seen her out front, and she had said that she didn't remember that night, was that before or after she was saying, did I hit him? Could have I hit him?
Can you repeat the question?
So
Sorry.
she was telling you about that she didn't remember that night. Was that before or after you had told her about seeing her car?
When I said I saw her at Fairview, then her response was she didn't even remember going there.
I know, poor kids. So sad.
Did she ever deny that you came to Mr. O'Keefe's house? I mean, to your sister's house?
No.
When she told you or said to you, did I hit him or could have I hit him or something like that, did you have any idea what she was talking about?
No, I didn't pay attention to it.
When she told you that she had cracked her taillight the night before, did that have any significance at that time to you?
No.
So in telling you these different things, did you ever piece them together at that time?
No.
What was your primary motivation at that point?
I just wanted to help her because she was hysterical. Kaylee was very upset, so I wanted to help her, and I wanted to find John.
So after she told you these things about whether she could or did hit her and the light and not remembering, did the conversation end or did it progress?
At some point, I was then going into like, okay, well, if she brought him there and left him there, where was he? Because he never came in the house, and she doesn't know where he is, so now where could he be? So I started thinking there was another gentleman that was supposed to meet us out at the bar who John was friends with. So I thought, okay, well, in my head I'm thinking maybe they got into a fight, John got out of the car, and he connected with this guy because he was at a party on the street.
What was that person's name?
His name is Tom Beatty.
Did you call him?
Yes.
Did you get a chance to speak to him that night?
That morning?
Yes.
No.
Did you call around anywhere else?
I believe I called my sister, I called John, I called Tom Beatty, I called his daughter.
You called John O'Keefe's phone?
Yes.
Did he answer?
No.
Did it go right to voicemail?
I don't remember.
Did you text anybody?
I honestly don't remember if I texted. I primarily think I was just trying to call as many people as I could and try to figure out what happened.
So you had two conversations at this point with the defendant while you were still home.
Yes.
Was there any further phone calls that you had before you did something?
I'm not sure if I know I went downstairs to make coffee because my plan was to go with my husband. I said, come on, let's just go over to Tom Beatty's. Let's see. Maybe John's there. He passed out on the couch. I'm not sure if Karen called me again or not. It's a little foggy because there was so many calls and everything.
Okay. And so that morning when you're receiving calls, did something happen?
Oh, I don't know if it's Jen's breathing sounds, actually, because we did hear it before. And the only thing that's new is her testifying on the stand. Maybe it is her. I thought it was like someone near Brennan, maybe. Or someone else that has their microphone on. Maybe it's the judge. I don't know. Someone forgot to mute their microphone because I did not hear this earlier.
Karen showed up at my house.
How did you know Karen showed up at your house?
I could hear her screaming out front.
No, I don't think it's her because I could hear it while she's talking.
About what time is this?
Is it? Hold on. Okay, let me listen. It might just be Corgi. It could just be me. If it's coming from my microphone, I'm blaming it on Shiro. Okay.
Approximately 5:20, 5:30. I can't be sure.
Were you worried for John at this point?
Not particularly, no.
Were you screaming?
No.
Now, at this point, this moment when you hear her outside of your house yelling, early morning hours, did you know a person by the name of Kerry Roberts?
I knew of her. I'd met her once.
Were you friends with her at that time?
No.
Had you socialized with her at that time?
No.
Had you ever seen her before with John?
Once.
Tell me about that.
Years earlier, as I said earlier, I used to take Kaylee on Friday nights, and Kerry was the one who would take Patrick on Friday night. So we would each have the kids. And to thank us, one day John told us how he got a discount at Reebok and to get our kids shoe sizes, and he was going to buy us all sneakers, just as a way to say thank you for helping. So we all went to the store together, and then John took Kerry and myself to the Hillside for lunch.
How many years before this moment was that?
Oh, gosh. Well, I think that's when my daughter was in kindergarten or first grade, and at this point she was in 8th grade, so like 7 years.
Had you ever spent any other time with Kerry Roberts before this morning?
No.
Were you friends at that point?
No.
How would you consider your relationship with Miss Roberts on that morning when Miss Reed arrived to your home?
I had met her once, and that was the extent of it. I wouldn't say I knew her at all, beyond that one time I went out with her.
I want you to take us back now to when you first hear the defendant in your driveway yelling. When you hear that, do you hear any words, or is it general yelling?
So I hear yelling, so I was downstairs making coffee, I go to my front door and I open it, and she's screaming, Jen, Jen! She's screaming that 3 times, and then she was saying, we have to go to Fairview. You know, a lot of the, could I have hit him, did I hit him? Just, she was on repeat.
What did you do?
My husband came running down the hall and was like, tell her to shut up, she's going to wake up the neighbors. And then I said, I'm just going to go with her, I'm going to go look for John. And then he yelled down saying something like, you can't be driving around in this weather, you know, with a broken taillight.
When you saw the defendant at your front door, had the weather changed overnight?
Yes.
Was it different?
Yes, now the snow had intensified. It was almost like, it was dark outside, but it was like whiteout conditions.
How dark?
Dark, I mean, it was dark. It was like 5:30 in the morning.
What was the visibility like?
Not good.
After you meet the defendant at your door, do you let her in, or does she stay outside?
I'm not sure if I just grabbed my coffee and ran out,
Where did you
or
go?
whether she came in. So we walked.
Okay, it might be her breathing. This is Shiro's attorney. If you blame my client, we will hit you with a defamation case. Oh, he's sleeping right now. Doesn't even know what's happening.
We went down my walkway. She was just kind of running all around. The driver's door was open, so I told her I was going to drive because I thought she was too hysterical to drive. In the meantime, all of a sudden there was a car at the end of my street, and there was a plow behind it.
The car that came to the end of your street, do you know where it went?
I meant the end of my driveway, I'm sorry.
When you say at the end of your driveway, did it pull into your driveway?
No, it just kind of stopped right at the base of my driveway.
Ah, driving drunk. That's the norm. That's the norm, you know. That's the norm. But broken taillight,
How far behind your car was that car?
Not far, because not too far.
Okay. Did you know who was in that car?
No.
Did you learn who was in that car?
Yes,
How did you learn who was in the car?
because I said, who is that? And
Did you ask the defendant, or did you walk up?
I asked the defendant, and she told me it was Kerry Roberts.
Did you meet Kerry Roberts face-to-face in your driveway that morning?
Yes, I wouldn't say we met. It was more of a, the plow was coming, so then she was having to like move down the street, and then either Karen called her or she called Karen, but they were on the phone.
All right, I asked my ER doctor friend if he's seen Pitt, the TV show, and he says, can't watch it, feels too much like work. Imagine working and then trying to relax, and then you watch TV, and it's like, oh, fuck, this is work all over again. Because I was trying to ask him if he thought it was realistic. Maybe his wife watched it, my friend.
Karen's phone over the car, so they started talking.
Did you get into the defendant's car?
Yes, we did. I got in the car with Miss Reed.
When you got in the car, you were in the driver's seat. Was Miss Reed in the passenger front?
Yes.
You said there was an open call. Is this something you could hear on a speaker?
Yes.
At that point, had you had a chance to go and look at the taillight of that car?
No.
Did you have any interest in the taillight at that point?
No.
There was an open call between who?
Karen and Kerry Roberts.
Can you describe what you heard in that call?
Karen was saying that she wanted to go to Fairview, and Kerry Roberts was instructing her that no, we weren't going to be going to Fairview, and she kept saying, we got to go to your sister's house, and Kerry Roberts said, no, we're not going to be driving around in this weather in 2 cars. Let's go back to John's, let's go to Meadows, let's go see if he's there. That was kind of the conversation, and then Karen was doing a lot of screaming, and Kerry was kind of yelling back at her to shut up.
Who was taking charge of the situation that morning?
Kerry Roberts.
Were you in charge of it?
No.
Did you weigh in or make any decisions on where you were going to go next, or were you just a listener?
I just listened. Kerry said that Kerry's kind of a take-charge person. She said, we're going to Meadows, so I said, okay, I drove to Meadows.
Now, at this point, you didn't know Kerry Roberts other
No.
than that meeting?
Yes, correct.
And you,
Oh, yeah, when I did clinicals as an EMT, they couldn't stand med shows in between calls.
you agreed to follow her?
Yes.
So tell us what happens. Take us through the drive.
She might have followed me, I'm not sure, but we drove back to Meadows. pulled into the driveway.
So you knew where Meadows was? You had been there many times with the kids?
Yes,
You think Miss Roberts may have followed you?
yes.
What was the weather conditions as you were driving?
They were awful. It was. I was driving very slow, cautiously. It was dark. It was hard to see. It was that type where the snow is like coming at your window.
How long of a ride was it from your home to John's home?
Approximately 5-6 minutes.
Was there any other phone calls while you were in the car with Miss Roberts, or did the phone calls end?
I believe that was it.
Can you describe the defendant's demeanor on the trip from your house to John's house?
She was just screaming, yelling things. It was almost like everything she said 3 times. And she just went from one thing to the next. She was quite hysterical.
Do you remember what she was yelling about?
About going to Fairview, asking, could she have hit him? Did I hit him?
How many times did she raise the question, did I hit him, could have I hit him?
A good amount.
Did you ever speak to her about that?
No.
At some point, did you finally get to John's home?
Yes,
When you got to John's home, who pulled in the driveway first?
I did.
Where did you pull in respect to the driveway?
I just pulled straight in next to the garage.
Did you see where Miss Roberts went?
I believe she pulled in behind me.
After you pulled into Meadows, John's home, and you stopped, what happened next?
We go into John's house.
When you went into John's house, did you all go in the same way?
Yes, we went through the garage.
And before going into John's home, did you do anything?
Before entering into the house?
Yes.
I took off my shoes.
You took off your shoes?
Yes.
Why did you do that?
Because you always had to take your shoes off at John's. He didn't want you to track. He would have yelled at me for tracking snow in his house.
Did you see if Kerry took her shoes off or not?
I believe she did.
Did you see whether the defendant took her shoes off or not?
She just walked right in
How would you remember that?
because I thought it was strange.
What was your purpose when you went into the house? What was the number one thing that you were worried about?
We were looking for John.
Anything else on your mind when you went into his house?
Also, I knew Kaylee was there.
Now, at this point, did you have a close relationship with Kaylee?
Yes.
Do you still?
Yes.
What did you do when you went in the house? Where did you go?
I walked through the kitchen, and then I kind of peeked into the TV room. I walked through the dining room, and then before I went up the stairs, I kind of peeked into a living room. I went up to the top of the stairs. I peeked into John's room, and then I went into Kaylee's room.
Did you ever see John?
No,
Why did you go to Kaylee's room?
because I wanted to go check on Kaylee.
Did you have a chance to speak to her?
I did, yes.
Okay. What was her demeanor at that point?
She was very, she was in the bed. She was holding on to her phone. She was terrified.
Hey, Grits, how's it going? How are you doing today? It really is intense. If you enjoy medical shows, it's really good. The whole season is one 15-hour shift. Wait, what? With a head doctor? Oh, wow. Oh, interesting. Huh. I didn't know that. Thanks, Sarah. All right. What are some notes that you guys have? Any questions? Talk about testimony from yesterday. Amanda, you're about 30 minutes north of Nashville. I live really close to the KY line, actually, and these accents are killing me. Sometimes I don't even know what they're saying. Lol. I struggle with accents from, I would say, the UK. I watched this TV show recently called Weeds with the James Franco lookalike guy, but I think he's like UK. Because then you get to actually listen to his real accent in real life. But yeah, I had a hard time listening to them and their, I don't know, the vernacular and like all the phrases that they use. I'm like, what are they saying? I have a hard time listening. For those of you guys who are not Americans, do you guys have a hard time listening to Americans as well? Karen noticed she was buzzed, didn't have as many drinks, it looks like on the camera from the bar. Maybe I'm confused, but weren't they right there, right where he was laying, or am I wrong? Hey, so right now we're at John O'Keefe's house. Are you talking about when they were leaving 34 Fairview that night and when they drove by the flagpole? How do you deal with the dog, the pig DNA stuff, and the wounds? Oh, are you asking Taxi that? I mean, honestly, the dog thing I think was compelling when you see John's arms and his injuries. Because for those of you guys who may have gotten bit or, scratched by a dog before, it could look like that. But I was always reserved about that because I don't know what car accidents look like on people, right? There are ideas that I might have, like bruises and all that stuff, but I don't know what it looks like. I think the thing that kind of like brought me away from the dog attack was them finding no dog DNA on John's clothing. And then I know someone did mention to me, it was like, oh, well, what happens if, maybe like it degraded somehow because of the way they stored it. But I mean, they were able to find blood DNA, but then like no dog DNA. I don't know. That's where I kind of like was getting off the dog attack thing. The pig DNA. I mean, someone made a joke about the cops, which I thought was really fucking funny. But the pig DNA. I mean, they did say it could have been like I don't know. I think someone said it could have been like food that had pork in it. You know, if you ate bacon. Someone else mentioned, well, what if it's like, you know, dog treats, you know, could have pig in it. The entire season in one day, it's great, most accurate metro I've ever seen. Okay, I gotta watch My Husband then. That sounds really fun. I'm wondering that when she went with this woman who was on the stand, where did they meet up? Oh, where did they meet up? Karen Reed drove to Jen McCabe's house. Jen thought it was unsafe for Karen to drive because she was hysterical, per Jen. And so they drove over to, I think that's where Carrie, wait, where did Carrie meet up? Did Carrie meet up at John's house or did Carrie, no, because I think they all drove to, at some point, they all went, okay, at some point, Karen went to Jen McCabe's house and then she was driving Karen's car and then they were following, I think they're driving with Carrie to John's house at Meadows Road. I don't know if that answers your question. Why did they get rid of the dog? Yeah, I know a lot of people are like, man, if I had a family dog that I loved, I would not get rid of my dog. And I feel the same way as you. I would never get rid of my dogs. However, I was thinking of a scenario. Okay, well, if someone accused me of my dog attacking them viciously and being a part of this fight, maybe I would get rid of my dog because I wouldn't want anything to happen to my dog, right? That's my mindset. And then also, if you believe that the dog attacked another human in another fight, I mean, maybe the right thing to do is, you know, either put the dog down or you send it away elsewhere. But I mean, I saw the picture of that lady who got her hand bit, and it looks pretty fucking gnarly. I could see why they got rid of the dog, but yeah, compounded all together with the dog, the house, and all this stuff, I do think it could look really suspicious. Why did they renovate the house? Why did they sell the house? Could be bad memories. It could be something happened in the basement and they want to erase the DNA, or you just don't want to live there anymore because there's bad memories. I think the kids were starting to outgrow. I think they were starting to be like early nesters because how many kids were in the house again? There was Brian Albert Jr., who was like, what, turning 23? How old was Caitlin again? I think they only had 2 kids, right? I don't know. Do you want to continue living in a big house when you don't really have as many kids living there? I could see that being a thing. Destroying the phones. Yeah, very fucking weird. The reason why the two, was it Higgins and Brian Albert destroyed the phone, and I think Brian Albert took it an extra step by dropping off he took out the SIM card, threw it in the trash, and then dropped the phone off in a military base trash or something like that. Yeah, very fucking suspicious. I also think that if they're not doing it for reasons for a cover-up, it could just be that there's something else on their phone that they don't want people to know about. I don't know. Maybe there's an affair, or maybe they're involved in some other weird shit, or maybe there's some other incriminating stuff that they don't want, you know, the world to know about. I don't know. I don't have answers for you. Those are just all the different theories that go through my mind when I'm thinking about why this, why that. So who's lawn? Okay, so we have all the locations that are being mentioned right now. We have Meadows, which is John O'Keefe's house. That's not where he was found. At some point, they did go to Jen McCabe's house. That's not where John O'Keefe was found. We're talking about 34 Fairview. So 34 Fairview is where everyone who was bar hopping, they went to 34 Fairview and they decided to continue the drinking party and the, you know, after shenanigans party stuff at 34 Fairview. 34 Fairview is owned by Brian Albert and I think Brian and Nicole, right? Brian and Nicole, who, by the way, Brian Albert is a police officer. And Nicole is the sister of the defendant who's testifying in the stand right now. Everyone's like sort of like friends or like related to each other. That's why like the whole family tree thing is kind of like messy when it comes to describing who's who and who is where and who is doing what. But John was found on the lawn of 34 Fairview. These group of women haven't gone to 34 Fairview yet. So far, they went from Jen McCabe's house to John's house, and I think they're about to head over to 34 Fairview.
Was she screaming?
No.
I know. I mean, that's what's interesting about this case, though. It is so divisive. I like how there's like so many different theories out there. As long as people are chill about it and not go too overboard and unhinged, I like entertaining all the different theories and all that stuff. I will say that because law enforcement fucked up so bad, and you know what? Honestly, they deserve all the backlash that they are getting right now because they fucked up so bad. I don't blame people for thinking, yeah, there could have been weird shit happening. I don't blame them because the shit that they were doing was really fucking weird. The fact that lead investigator didn't say that, like, oh, hey, by the way, maybe I'm too close to this case because I actually know, like, the people of the house and maybe I'm friends with them and all that stuff, and didn't excuse himself from being the lead investigator. Like, there's just so much weird shit happening. But again, I don't know how small towns operate. I wasn't sure if this was just a normal thing in small towns. You know, maybe you only have like a very small police team to investigate shit, and they're the only ones you could rely on. But then after going through trial number one, it seems like a lot of people are in agree that this is not how things are supposed to be done. So I was like, yeah, like this seems really fucked. So law enforcement, because they fucked up so badly, yeah, they deserve all the backlash that they're getting right now. And I completely can understand why people are coming after them, and then why there's like so many different theories about this case. Things were just not done properly. It was just completely fucked.
Did you provide her any comfort?
Yes. I told her that I was going to go out.
Oh, okay. You thought 34 Fairview was Jen's home. No, Jen's home is like country. She's got like some fancy ass road name or something, like Country Lane Road or something. 34 Fairview is where the party was at. And that's where, depending if you're on the defense's team or the state side, the state said that John was never dropped off at 34 Fairview, just like in the front area. Sorry, he was dropped off at 34 Fairview, but he didn't go inside. Defense is saying that he was dropped off at 34 Fairview and he did go inside into the party. And then something went down.
I told Kaylee that I was going to go out with them and I was going to find John. And I promised her that everything would be okay.
At some point, you left Kaylee?
Yes.
Where did you go?
I went back downstairs and then we went out to look for John.
Before you left John's house that morning, did the defendant show you anything?
Yes. When we were out in the driveway, I had thought it was when we went in, but I think it might have been when we came out. But regardless, at one point when we were in the driveway at Meadows, Karen showed myself and Kerry Roberts the cracked taillight.
Did you or Miss Roberts get close to the taillight at that point?
Yes, we walked over and the taillight was missing pieces.
Did Miss Roberts have any comment about it?
Yes, Miss Roberts.
So she had a comment. Next question.
Exactly, Corky. Some channels chats are vicious if you don't agree with their narrative. I like to see all the evidence and then decide. That's because people don't like it when you're defending murderers. And the issue with this is that we don't know who the murderer is. Everyone thinks that the other side is the murderer, right? So like if you think that, you know, for example, what's her face? Karen did it, or if you think, for example, Jen is behind all of it, then if you see someone in the chat defending them, then you're like, well, what the fuck? Why are you defending them? Of course they're a murderer. Like, how could you defend them? So I can see how it gets like really crazy and like explosive in the chat. But that's what it's just like, I don't know. When it gets too vitriolic like that, at some point you're not really even having a conversation anymore. It's just like ad homs, just throwing at each other, and then you're just not really going anywhere. But I can understand why people get really like heated about this.
What was Miss Roberts' demeanor at that point?
She was frustrated with Karen, had said that, you know, had said that Karen basically was telling her to shut up. You were so drunk, you could have hit anything last night. And then Kerry, I remember just thinking, all right, let's go. And I remember Kerry thinking, oh,
Well,
someone's
let me
going to
not
get.
ask you what Kerry-
Oh, sorry.
We don't want to think what somebody thought.
Okay.
I want to know what you heard and what you saw. Okay?
Yeah.
All right. At some point when you were looking at the taillight with missing pieces with the defendant and Miss Roberts did you see Miss Roberts point anything out?
Yes.
Share that with us.
She pointed a piece that was sticking out and was concerned that someone was going to catch their coat or something on it.
And during that time when the defendant is showing you the taillight with missing pieces, was she saying anything about it?
No, I don't. Not that I can recall right now.
You mentioned at some point she was saying, did I or could I have hit him after you left John's house? Was that in the car or before you got in the car?
I know for a fact it was definitely in the car. Was one of the times, yes.
Now, Miss Roberts' car is parked behind the defendant's car in John's driveway.
Yes.
Was there a
Someone made a thumbnail of Carrie Roberts testifying with Jen McCabe like on her back. It kind of reminded me of have y'all ever seen that Thai movie? Or they made an English version of it too, which sucks by the way. There's this movie called Shutter where there's the guy who's a photographer and he's haunted by this like female ghost. And then I'm just gonna spoil it for you, but like, at the very end, he finds out that the ghost is like riding on his back the entire time. I don't know. It kind of looked like that. I don't know. I don't know what YouTube channel that was, but I thought the thumbnail was kind of funny. They were basically trying to say that Jen McCabe was in Carrie Roberts' ear, like whispering shit to her, and then like Carrie Roberts was like basically echoing that. But although I do think that Carrie Roberts is pretty well in the stand, I thought that thumbnail was fucking hilarious. You see the movie? Yeah, the Thai version is good, but the English version sucks. Okay, don't even watch that one. Just watch the Thai version.
decision made to take 1 or 2 cars?
One car.
What was the plan?
The plan was to get into Carrie's car and to go and look for John. I wanted to go thinking, let's go to Tom Beatty's, but Miss Reed was pretty adamant that we go to Fairview first.
You said that at times there was some arguing or bickering, or Ms. Roberts was raising her voice to the defendant.
Yes.
Who made the decision to go to Fairview?
Ultimately, Carrie said, all right, we'll go there, almost like to shut her up.
When you got in the car, where was everybody? When you got into Carrie Roberts' car, where
Yes.
was everybody sitting?
Carrie was driving, I was in the front and passenger. Karen was in the back, in the middle, kind of peeking her head through between us.
I want you to take us through the ride from John's house at Meadows until you first get to Fairview. So as you pull out of, or Carrie Roberts pulls out of John's driveway, what is the mood inside that car?
I'd say it was starting to get tense because Karen was just continuously screaming. Carrie was trying to focus on driving, and Karen's behavior in the back of the car was a bit erratic.
When you say erratic, can you just give some detail? What do you mean by that?
Is it like a Canton thing to tell people to shut up if they're like kind of like going a little bit crazy and haywire? I don't know. I feel like telling someone to shut up while they're having like some sort of a moment. I don't know if that helps. I don't know if they really will listen to you.
Yes, she would go from sitting back to leaning up in between us, and she would yell Carrie's name 3 times. Then she would yell my name's three times, and then she would yell, "Could I hit him? Did I hit him?" Over and over again.
When she was repeating these questions or phrases that she was yelling, did you respond in any way?
I don't believe I did. No.
How about Carrie?
Carrie was telling her to shut up and to buckle up.
Was she buckled?
I don't believe so.
You began your drive from Mr. O'Keefe's home at Meadows to Fairview. Is the weather getting better?
No, it's getting worse.
Is the visibility still difficult?
It was terrible.
As you began that drive to Fairview, was there anything that you were doing on the way?
Yes, I was just kind of looking out the window intently to see if I saw anything.
What were you looking for?
I guess John, which I know it sounds crazy, but I didn't know where the hell he was.
Did you have any difficulty seeing from the car the side of the road?
Yes.
Did you see what direction Ms. Roberts was looking when she was driving?
Well, she, it was hard because she needed to focus on driving because the conditions were that bad.
Did you have a chance to see the defendant on that drive at all?
Yes.
Was she looking out the windows with you?
No, she was popping back and forth and screaming.
Was it constant screaming, or did it change at all?
She would scream and then kind of sit back, and she'd almost be like quiet for a minute. It was like, okay, good, and then she'd start again.
In those quiet times, do you know what, if anything, she was doing?
I didn't know what she was doing that morning, no.
How long did it take to get to Fairview?
I don't know. I'm going to assume maybe 10 minutes, like with the weather, maybe 10 minutes. I'm not, give or take, approximately.
As you're approaching 34 Fairview Road, before you get there, is Fairview going to be on your left side, driver's side, or on the right side?
As we're pulling up, it's on the driver's side. Carrie's going to take a left down Fairview off of Chapman.
I want you to take us back to that morning, about 20 or 30 yards before you get to Fairview. Mm-hmm. You're in the car with Ms. Roberts and the defendant?
Yes.
What's happening in the car?
Karen's is screaming, and at that point, she had asked if John could be cheating on her and if John could be with Bella's mom.
And then what happens?
I didn't know what the hell she was talking about. I was like, what are you talking about? Why would he be with Bella's mom? And then Carrie said, well, do you think he could have walked to, there was another woman years before that John had dated who lived on the next street over to her house.
And as you approach that area before you get to the flagpole, does anything remarkable happen?
No.
Okay. What happens next?
As we're driving down the street, I just say to Carrie, because she doesn't know where my sister lives, oh, her house is just at the bottom of the street.
Visibility still difficult?
Yes, awful.
What happens next?
We continue.
I don't know if they're gonna call Trooper Proctor, man. I have no idea. Listen, I'm telling you right now, like right now, the state's presentation is pretty decent, but like once we get to law enforcement, major yikes. Major yikes. We'll see.
Driving, and we're driving
What I want to know is, are we going to be reading the Higgins text as well?
slowly past, the line of, I guess, bushes and the flagpole area, and all of a sudden, Karen's screaming from the back, "There he is," or something to the effect of, "There he is, let me out."
Did you know what she was talking about?
I had no idea.
When she was yelling that, did you look out the window?
Yeah, we had our eyes peeled out the window.
Did you see anything?
Nothing but snow.
How long was she yelling about whatever it is she was saying?
Carrie, she screamed, "Stop!" So Carrie stopped pretty quickly. There he is, there he is. She could have kicked the door, like, "Let me out of here."
And when she was kicking the door, what were you doing?
I was just like, what the heck? What is going on?
What happens next?
She gets out. Carrie looks at me and said something. I said, like, she's batshit crazy.
Then what happens?
Then Carrie got out. Then I got out of the car, walked around the back of the car, and was walking, like, over to where I could see the girls were.
Now, at that point, you were in Kerry Roberts' car.
Yes.
It had its headlights on.
Yes.
Was it facing up the street of Fairview?
Well, we had come down the hill, so yes, up the street.
There was no other lighting in that area?
I do not believe so.
No fire engines or ambulances at that point?
No.
No police cars?
No.
Any street lights?
It was dark.
When you got out of the car, did you look towards the area of the flagpole?
Yes.
Could you see anything at that point?
No.
How close did you get to the area of the flagpole before you could first actually see something?
Well, I saw the shadowy figures of Carrie and Karen, and it wasn't until I got very close over to them that I saw Carrie removing the snow from John's face.
Is that the first moment you realized that was John O'Keefe on the ground?
Yes, it was.
When you see Kerry removing the snow from John's face, what do you do?
I was frozen. I was shocked. I couldn't believe that was him just lying there.
Tell us what you're seeing.
What do I see? I see Carrie just wiping the snow off. Karen had straddled him and had lifted her shirt and his shirt and was laying on him, and Carrie was screaming at her to get off of him. And I was literally just stunned. I mean, there he was.
What did John look like when you saw him?
I couldn't see much but his face, because the rest was snow, and Karen was moving over him, but he just looked like just him, but just like frozen.
What did you do?
At first, I just stood there for a minute because I couldn't believe it was him. And then Kerry Roberts and I made eye contact, and I knew. I was like, all right, I'm going to call 911. But I think I knew in that moment that John, was dead.
Did you call 911?
Yeah, I started to call 911, and Kerry and Karen were just screaming. And so I walked back towards Kerry's car, and then Kerry was also yelling at me to go to the back of the car to look for blankets and towels. So as I was calling 911, I was at the back of the car looking for the towels and the blankets to bring over to Kerry. And while I was doing that, I believe 911 answered.
Did you speak to 911?
I did, yes.
Did you get the towels and blankets that Kerry had requested?
Have y'all ever called 911 before? Just curious. I always thought 911 was when you call 911 and then you get the operator right away, because that's how you see it in the movies. Bro, if you call 911 in real life, it takes a while to get to an operator. Sometimes you're calling for 2 minutes, and then you get to a person who's like, okay, what do you need? Do you need X, Y, or Z? It's like, I don't know. I need blah, blah, blah. And then you get sent over to another person. I don't know. It actually takes a while to get to a 911 operator. I had no idea. It might just be an LA thing. Yeah, possibly, because LA is probably fucking wild. But I don't know. I'm curious. For those of you guys who call 911, or I guess it's 999 in some of your, depending on what country you're in. But when you guys call the emergency line, does it also take a while to get to an operator?
I did, yes.
After your phone call with 911, when you had the towels and blankets, tell us what happens next.
So after I called 911, I went back over to Karen and John, and at that point, Carrie asked if I would take over compressions. So she got up, and I started doing compressions, and Karen was doing mouth-to-mouth.
When you started doing compressions, were you touching John over his clothes or touching his skin?
I don't remember.
Did you, at that point, get a chance to touch John's body and see how it felt temperature-wise?
I just remember when I was doing the compressions, I don't really know how to explain it. It just felt very funny.
Same with your experience in Norway. Took a while. In Australia, 000. They ask you what you need, then put you through. Didn't take long. Just spoke to 2 people. Same in London. Yeah, it rings. I called last week. I didn't have to be transferred, but it took a minute for them to answer. Yeah, because I was thinking about like, damn, like if you're in need of like law enforcement to show up like right now, like you're being chased or something like that. Like imagine having to be on hold for like 2 minutes. You're like, holy shit, this is crazy. Yes, yes. Make use of the non-emergency line. Mm-hmm. You called 911 when someone hitting your car in the parking lot when you go to work. Yeah, because I think when you're younger, like when I was younger, I thought it was just like 911, right? And then I learned that like, oh wait, there's a non-emergency number that you can call. Huh. The operator was like, you gotta call the non-emergency line, ma'am.
I'm sorry, very
It just wasn't like normal. I don't.
Yeah, I think I did the same thing. I got in there was a car accident that we got into. Called 911 because I was like, oh, I don't know, we need to get the ambulance here, I guess, because I don't know who's hurt. And then they were like, well, if you don't think anyone's hurt, you shouldn't call 911. But I'm like, yeah, but I don't know. I don't know if someone's hurt or not. A while back, a long time ago.
I can't think of how to describe the way it felt when I was trying to press down, but it was like resistance.
How long did you try to give compressions and give aid to John for?
Until the police came.
Mr. Brennan, why don't we end here?
Thank you.
All right, Ms. McCabe, we need you back tomorrow. You can stay and
Oh, that's it? Okay. I think it's ceiling fan for a little bit, and then I don't know what we're discussing here. You were just passing a gas station last year. You saw 2 men. What? Started to beat on a woman. I called and they were like, describe them. And I was like, I don't know. But she was getting punched in the head. Jesus. You know how we always give shit to like the young people who instead of calling 911, they like start recording, right? But I'm like, damn, I don't know, man. Sometimes like, yes, calling 911 is good to have law enforcement show up right away. But sometimes you want to have a recording of it in case, I don't know, the events are being disputed or if the person flees. It's like, what do I do? Do I call 911 or do I film this just for evidence later on? You know what? We just got to have 2 phones on us, just got to have 2 phones on hand. Was Crash Today allowed to testify? I don't know. I don't know if they ruled that yet. I actually have about 30 minutes left of the ARCA testimony from yesterday. I got to wrap that up and finish it.
We're back in session 18.
All right, Mr. Brennan, I'll hear you.
Your Honor, in light of yesterday's hearing with the ARCA witnesses, the Commonwealth is going to ask the court to preclude the ARCA witnesses from testifying both about any new testing and any new opinions, and secondly, from testifying about their original opinions turned over in a report prior to last year's trial. To be brief, what we learned or confirmed is that we do not have all of the discovery of communications. There was a court order for the ARCA witnesses to provide Your Honor with all of their information.
What time is it? 1:24 p.m. Do I have the time? Let me see. Oh, I think I only have that on my Twitch. Let's see. Twitch, I think I have the time thing. Time. Yes, it's on here. Yeah, they went and then the people were gone, but I tried. Jeez. Oh, why is it so zoomed in? There you go. Just kidding. Hello. I blame tech support. Shiro.
To be brief, what we learned or confirmed is that we do not have all of the discovery of communications. There was a court order for the ARCA witnesses to provide Your Honor with all of their information, phone records, text messages, communications about this case. Instead of providing their information to the court, they instead chose to send it to the defense, and then it was summarized and provided by the defense to the court and to the Commonwealth. It appears to me that is not in compliance with the court's order. What we learned during the hearing yesterday is that
What do they normally do? Do they normally send it directly to the court, or do they send it to the defense, hoping that the defense will send it to the court? I guess I have to look at the court order to see like how it's worded. I wonder what they normally do.
Dr. Wolf admittedly destroyed over 100 text messages. Now, he mentioned that he changed phone carriers, but then later admitted that he actually intentionally, for no apparent reason, destroyed the text messages in this case. And so what is left for Your Honor to look at is a summary of phone records from the defense and Archer's information that is passed through the defense to the court. You do not have the text messages. You do not have the content of the text messages. There is no summary of the conversations, dozens and dozens of calls between the defense and the experts. It is difficult to believe that all of those text messages and all of those phone conversations dealt with simply logistics. In fact, we later learned during the questioning of Dr. Rensselaer, there is much more involved than simply logistics. But to get back to Dr. Wolf, he did not disclose to the court that he was communicating and having conversations on Signal. How odd. An expert using Signal. Never used it before. Dr. Rensselaer said would not use Signal, never use Signal. But Signal, as we know, is an application.
Oh, I didn't get to Dr. Rensselaer's testimony yet. I think he was like towards the tail end. I listened to the majority of Dr. Wolf's testimony. My understanding is that the reason why Signal was used beginning this year is because Jackson, the defense attorney, prefers to use Signal. And that's why he was like, okay, I guess I'll use Signal to communicate with you. He normally does not use Signal to communicate with his clients, but this was at the request of Mr. Jackson.
That does not create a record of communications. Dr. Wolf maintained on his direct that everything he did was logistics, even when we showed him the direct examinations with comments that asked for input from the defense to questions in a way that would be advantageous to the defense and to thwart the Commonwealth. Dr. Wolf actually still continued to testify that that was simply procedure in logistics, never admitting the fact that there was, in fact, conversations or information exchange about bettering the presentation for the defense. Inevitably, I asked him about the sequestration order and how evasive he was. You simply have to compare him to Dr. Rensselaer, who was quite candid. An hour or 45 minutes with Dr. Wolf, difficult getting a straight answer. Dr. Rensselaer told us more in 5 minutes than Dr. Wolf told us his entire examination.
No, I didn't get to Dr. Rensselaer yet.
And what we unfortunately learned is that during the trial, when this court had a sequestration order, information was being passed to the experts about witness testimony, in this case, unknown to the Commonwealth, unknown to the court, information, particular information, not general information, witness testimony, issues in the case. We have no idea who is deciding or identifying the issues and who the advantage is given to in describing those issues. But that is witnesses being prepped through an intermediary. So we know the Department of Justice, at least, is violating the order, helping the witnesses along, and then they testify unbeknownst to the Commonwealth that they have this information, but obviously is reflected in the testimony. In addition, I provided some clips to Your Honor for review.
Yes, do you want me to mark these as an exhibit?
I do.
Okay, so this was an exhibit from yesterday. I did have the opportunity to look at them.
I suggest that the relationship was not resigned to mere logistics. And so, from that subterfuge, what we stand with today is that we know that the witnesses...
Not Lewis. No. No, Lewis. Dude, I never finished Suits though. Well, I tried to finish it. I got to season 2 and I was like, nah.
were well prepared. We know that there was not true independence. And what we know is that they are refusing to provide the necessary information to support their original opinions that they gave at the first trial. They cited that it was a protective order. Perhaps it is. That has nothing to do with the issue. By calling the ARCA witnesses as their witnesses, they then have the obligation to comply with Rule 14. Unlike the first trial, where the Commonwealth had no ability to do any testing, review, vet the reliability of the information, properly prepare for cross-examination, this trial, that should not occur. Just because it happened last trial, and the Commonwealth was disadvantaged, does not mean it should happen this trial. And that is precisely why I began moving for discovery in this case early on. Inevitably, if these witnesses cannot provide information because under a protective order, it may not be the defendant's fault in its inception, but it is their problem and difficulty because they chose to hire the ARCA witnesses. They could have chosen any witnesses they want. Rule 14 is not obviated because they made a strategic decision to call the ARCA witnesses. So now going into this trial, even Dr. Rensselaer admitted that an expert should have time, in their opinion, a month or more, to review the raw materials. It's not enough simply to have a report, as Attorney Alisi preached during his argument. We should have the opportunity to go through the raw data, the history, the videos, determine whether there's any failed testing. We don't have that benefit. And so my position has changed, that those early opinions should not come in because we have no ability to fairly cross-examine. As for the new opinions, the report may not be done until May 7th. We are in the middle of trial. concedingly by the defense, or at least their witnesses, it takes a month to go through the discovery. When I filed my motion on the eve of trial that we would be unable to prepare or we would want to continue in this case, I appreciate why this case wasn't continued. But I knew, given our scheduling, our experts will not be able to look at this material. Our expert is away until after the first week of May. He is going to be testifying shortly after. He will have no ability to digest this enormous amount of materials, vet whether it's accurate.
This new expert that the state has, is it going to be replacing Trooper Joseph? Or Trooper, wasn't it even Joseph Paul? Paul Joseph? I forgot. Something like that. LSS3 rings in, you get an operator. Oh, both in, is it Orange County and the Bay? Like San Francisco, the Bay Area?
Accurate or not, conduct tests to combat it if he thinks that it's inaccurate or unfair. And so the discovery violations, regardless of the state of mind, are upon the defendant. There is no exception that you used ARPA witnesses. There is no exception that you hired somebody that used to be under a federal protective order. They chose them, and I would suggest it seems strategically. When we noticed we'd have new experts in October, the defense from past experience, and probably other experience, but we know from this case, knows the process. They would have to file a TUI letter and wait for a response. And yet they waited until February to seek permission, which then extended their permission past February into March, and then they didn't even start the review until late March. And so it's fundamentally unfair. We should not be placed in the position of cross-examining experts without the fair ability as any participant, defendant, Commonwealth, any participant would have in a case to consider and then to rebut. And so for that reason, I ask you to exclude both the new opinions and new testing, and also to exclude the earlier opinions that we will never, at this point, receive the proper discovery with to prepare.
All right, thank you. Mr. Alessi, I only have one question for you.
There's this function on the fucking iPhone. When I switch over from Android to iPhone, iPhone has this thing that I don't know how it activates it, but it accidentally activated. I was at the fucking grocery store. I was at like 99 Ranch, and all of a sudden my phone did this thing where it was like really, really loud, and it was like one of those like emergency call help type of things. I don't know what it was. And I was like, what the fuck is this? And I was like trying to turn it off. Yeah, I don't know. It happened to me twice actually, because I don't know how I actually triggered it twice, but I don't know how it happened. But both times it happened when I was in public. You guys know what I'm talking about? It's like some weird noise that it makes. Not an Amber Alert. No. It's like something that I activated. Was it? If you click the side button 5 times, that happens. Okay, maybe it's something like that. Yeah, because I remember I was like taking the phone out of my pocket. And I was like doing some stuff with it, and then it just started going haywire. And I was like, dude, shut the fuck up. How do I make this shut up? And I started panicking because I wasn't sure if 911 was being called or not. And I was like, oh my God, what is going on here? I don't know. I think it's like an iPhone thing, maybe. I was like, stop, please stop. You're being so loud. All right, one question for Mr. Alessi.
All right, thank you. Mr. Alessi, I only have one question for you.
One question.
So would you stand, please? You're arguing this, right? This was your motion. So my question is, how do I reconcile the fact that 100 text messages were deleted by counsel? And we heard yesterday counsel's preferred method of dealing with Dr. Wolf was via Signal. How do we reconcile that with the Massachusetts Rules of Professional Conduct 1.15? I don't see how you reconcile that, where all correspondence related to the matter, whether in physical or electronic form, must be saved for 10 years minimum.
Oh, 10 years. Okay, I didn't know about that. I wasn't sure what the rules were. I was like, I know like the state has to make sure they preserve their shit, their documents, stuff like that. I wasn't sure what the rules were for the defense team.
How do you reconcile that? How do I reconcile that?
Should I go to the podium?
Right there, and I expect a short answer.
The short answer, Your Honor, is the rule that you're citing has absolutely no applicability to this proceeding. Can I finish my answer, Your Honor?
Right ahead.
As no.
Oh, he knew that she was going to interrupt. That's why. Oh, gosh. Okay. All right. Android has it too. My phone has it too. It's in order to get attention to people around you in case you need help. Well, let me tell you this. The people around me, they just ignored me. No one was helping me.
Applicability to this proceeding. Can I finish my answer, Your Honor?
Right ahead.
As no applicability, that rule is intended to be between an attorney and the client. The court has no jurisdiction to enforce that rule.
I agree. That's a different body, but I'm asking you how I reconcile that when I'm trying to figure this out. Mr. Alessi, you know what? You're going to win this, so why don't you just let me make my ruling, okay? So I understand there have been repeated violations of the reciprocal discovery orders and my orders, repeated and deliberate. But, and Mr. Brennan, I understand completely the Commonwealth's argument, completely the ambush that has been set upon here. However, a defendant's right to a fair trial is paramount to everything. So I'm going to allow the ACWA witnesses to testify. I am going to allow what
the ACWA witnesses. Oh my God, the caption.
I expect to be a very robust cross-examination. and I'm going to allow them to testify to everything that they said up until yesterday. So you'll get the report May 7th. And I know that's late, and if you need anything as a result of that being late, I'll hear you on whatever motion you have. But that's where we stand, and I expect counsel to comply with all rulings and rules of the court and all rules of professional conduct. And no more nonsense. Let's just try this case. All right, that's it. I'll see you tomorrow.
All right. Arca's coming in. Good, because I feel like if Arca was going to be excluded, that would be like a huge chunk of the case that would just be missing. You know, I want to try to get as much information as we can from both sides, and let's figure this shit out. Whew, I don't know, because I felt like if Arca was going to be excluded, then fuck, what is the defense? What are they going to do? What are they going to do? I think that's it. All right, Arca's coming in. All right, y'all. Well, who watched yesterday's testimonies? Because yesterday was pretty fucking crazy. Yesterday was wild. Again, to reiterate, I was going to stream yesterday's trial, but because I was pausing so often and I was taking a lot of fucking notes and I was trying to, you know, understand what the witness was saying, and I did have a hard time understanding him as well at some points. It would have taken forever for us to stream it together. There would have been a lot of pauses, a lot of like, hold on a second, guys, let me write this down. And I just didn't want it to be annoying for you guys and disruptive. So I didn't watch it with you guys. We didn't stream it. I don't plan on streaming it, but I do recommend if you guys did not watch yesterday's testimony, watch it, check it out. If you guys think it might be a little bit too like technologically intensive, maybe just get towards the end when like he starts like recapping everything. That way you can get like an idea of like what the state is trying to argue and what their timeline is. Because I did think it was really interesting. And then as for the ARCA stuff, I don't know. The ARCA stuff was interesting. It was interesting. I do think that Dr. Daniel Wolf did a lot of prep with the defense because there were some parts where I think the answers that we were getting were more like defense attorney style answers. Like there's some stuff that I think he could have just kind of answered outright, but then I think because he was maybe, and you know, I think it's a good thing. You know, the defense wants to make sure when the witnesses are on the stand, give them a little bit of like, kind of like tips and pointers of like, you know, how to answer stuff. But yeah, I found it to be like a little bit evasive here and there. Like there was some small stuff that I think they could have just answered, but it was getting very evasive. In terms of the other ARCA witness, I didn't get to see his testimony yet. So I think I have about 30 to 40 minutes left from yesterday's hearing that I have not seen yet. So I have to go back. I got to listen to the rest of Dr. Wolf's testimony towards the end. And then also Dr. Rentschler, who is the other ARCA guy. Apparently there's 3 ARCA dudes that they hired and only 2 of them testified. But ARCA's going to come in and yeah, we're here for it. Because, you know, we want to get everything. We want to get everything in. All right, y'all. Yeah, dude, Brennan was getting very fired up, dude. He was getting so fired up yesterday. I was like, oh, man. But I did see Brennan getting pretty fired up with Dr. Marie Russell as well. I mean, it's like defense attorney style cross-examinations. You know, things get really heated. You know, he starts hammering on the questions. But I think Brennan did a pretty good job. He was definitely not boring to listen to and not monotonous and not sleepy. You know, and I could definitely appreciate that. That's why I tend to always love I love more of the aggressive approach when it comes to attorneys. I know to some people that might come across as like, oh, being an asshole or like, you know, they're like dicks, but I like it when people are aggressive. And I do think it will help with the jury more to really pay attention. But sometimes, you know, the jury might be like, oh, you know, this guy's way too aggressive. Like he's a dick. Like we don't like him. He's very unlikable. So it's like a balance that you have to do, right? Between being aggressive, captivating the jury's attention and the audience's attention versus making sure you're not coming off as unlikable. This is a different Aunt Bev. I think honestly, the judge is a lot more cooler in this trial. Because trial number 1, like she was, maybe because the defense hasn't really presented their part yet, but trial number 1, she was just starting to become so unbearable with her tone and her, I don't know, the way that she would just talk to attorneys. I just didn't like it. Just came off as really rude. She has like some parts, like throughout the trial, there are some parts where she could have said something nicer. Like I think earlier Mr. Alessi was zooming in on Mr. Alessi had a PowerPoint presentation up and she's like, you got to zoom it in. I'm like, can't you just say it in a more nicer way? Just be like, hey, do you mind zooming in the presentation so we can see? You know, but like, yeah, I don't know. I don't like the way that she talks to people, but I think that's just like the way that she does. I don't know. That's just how she talks. I guess that's how she communicates. I would hate to work for her. I would hate to work for her. Oh, anyways, y'all. So that is it for day number 6 of the day number 6. I don't know. Should we recap yesterday's testimony or no? Because I feel like you guys probably all watched yesterday's testimony, right? I don't know if we really need to recap it. An Amber Alert is like a message sent out to cell phones and stuff, alerting people to keep an lookout for missing persons. Yeah, so it wasn't an Amber Alert. It was yeah, some sort of like emergency thing where the phone thought I was having an emergency or something, and I wasn't sure if it was trying to contact 911. I was getting super paranoid because when I was a kid, I remember you guys ever got in trouble for calling 911 or something, and then I forgot what happened. I don't think it was me that did it, or it was like maybe it was like a neighborhood kid. Someone like tried to do like a 911 prank or something, and then like got in like big trouble. And I've always remembered that. Like, yeah, I don't know. I think they seared into my mind that like I was a kid. You're like, oh, am I gonna get arrested? But anyways, true crime curator. Hello. You can't see on Brandon's voice, but you think he's doing a pretty good job. I honestly, I really did not want to hear Mr. Lolly's voice again, but Mr. Lolly did do a direct examination of a witness recently, and I was like, you know what? Okay, it's not that bad. It's not that bad. As long as he stays away from what if anything and like the whole repetitive shit. I think Lolly took in a lot of feedback from trial number 1, and he probably heard, what people were saying about his direct and cross examination and how it felt like it was just very ineffective, or he was just kind of like lolling a little bit. So, when Lolly did the direct examination recently, I was like, oh, you know what? Lolly's voice is not so bad. But I remember I was like, please, please don't put Lolly on. Don't put Lolly on at all. Grit says, I also think the other judge that came in from the other issues handed her ass because he's the head of the judge of the courthouse. Wait, which one? The other judge that came in for other issues? Oh, are you talking about the judge that is overseeing the other case? The one with Turtle Boy? Because there is a judge in this courtroom that I was like, damn, I like this judge. I kind of wish this judge was the one that was overseeing the Karen Reed trial. You fully believe Dr. Wolf when he said he did not converse about the case. He was quite believable to me. Yeah, I think Dr. Wolf is a very likable and very professional witness on the stand. It's just that when he was answering some questions where I thought were just like easy answers, it seemed like it was a little too evasive, but I don't think he normally answers that way. I just think that he was just basically probably working with the defense team, and they probably told him like, hey, like, this is how you should probably answer it this way or that way, like, I don't know, like, I think it's like some sort of like maybe like training that he had with the defense team. But yeah, I like that judge too, the no nonsense judge. Yeah, I'm like, give me this judge. I want this judge instead. I don't know, I don't really like this court judge. She's probably one of my least favorite judges. Her, and I remember the Parkland shooter judge was driving me nuts a little bit because she was going a little bit crazy at times. I don't know, she was like a little unhinged. Oh man. Yes, me and a friend got in trouble for calling 911, but we literally hung up. Yes, we literally called and hung up right away, yet they came within 15 minutes. Oh, did they show up? Oh, wow. It scared us straight. Hey, at least, reliable, at least they show up. Yeah, for us, they didn't show up, but I could have sworn maybe the 911 operator called back, and then, like, someone's parents answered. I don't know, I'm trying to remember. Isn't it crazy how when you're trying to remember something from childhood, it's like, wait a second, did this happen to me, or did this happen to a friend? Or did someone tell me about this? I don't know. Sometimes my memory gets all fucked up. All right. Anyways, so yeah, we're gonna continue the direct examination of Jen McCabe tomorrow, and then, dude, cross examination. Who do you think is gonna do the cross examination of Jen McCabe? Do we think it's gonna be Alessi? Do we think it's gonna be Mr. Jackson, or do we think it's gonna be Mr. Yannetti? Who did the cross examination of Jen McCabe last year? Do you guys remember? Was it Yannetti or was it Jackson? I don't think it was Attorney Little, right? All right, Chris says Jackson. Oh, Jackson's scary. She acts like a school counselor, has to deal with 2 girls fighting, not a murder case. I don't know. She's like not my favorite judge. Not my favorite judge. I remember I called multiple times, kept hanging up when they answered, and they came so quick thinking something bad happened. Yeah. He didn't discuss the car with the defense. Maybe you haven't watched that part yet. He didn't discuss the car? The car. I don't remember hearing anything about that. I just say 11-year-old. Oh, you saw an 11-year-old get a felony charge for prank calling cops? Wait, what? Recently? What? Well, I mean, you said prank calling cops. Like, did they Did they do it like multiple times or something? Jesus. Wait, is it the one with the body cam? There was like a body cam of it's always like some young kid. I wonder if I saw the thumbnail. I think so. What? There was a body cam of a girl texted 911. She got arrested and had a felony, I think at 11 years old. Yep, she was saying someone was kidnapped. What? Why? She said there was a girl that was kidnapped with a gun, with a girl faking a kidnapping. Wait, why? Is she related to Sherry Papini? Oh my god. Posted in Discord. I feel like I saw the thumbnail, but I didn't watch it though. Jeez. All right, y'all. So, yeah, that's it for today. So today we had the continuing cross-examination of Daniel Whitley, the Cellbrite expert, by Mr. Alessi. I thought it went so-so. I didn't think anything was too crazy in cross-examination. And then we had a redirect. And then afterwards, Jen McCabe testified. So far with Jen McCabe's testimony, we are at the part where they are discovering John's body in the snow, and she's calling 911. Carrie's trying to give John compressions, and yeah, we'll see what happens the rest of the day. But man, cross-examination is gonna be pretty wild. Whew. All right, y'all. That's it for today. So, we are going to be doing the rest of the Sarah Boone sidebar sometime this week. If you guys haven't already seen the beginning of it, we've only covered, I think we're still in jury voir dire right now. We haven't gotten too far into the Sarah Boone sidebar stuff, but we'll definitely finish it at some point. I think, hopefully, I'm trying to figure out what the court schedule is with the Karen retrial. I don't know if they're going to have any more half days or if they're going to have any like days off or anything like that. But, yeah, I'm trying to figure out the Karen Reed schedule. And then I definitely do want to do the Sarah Boone sidebar stuff. Oh no, the ACL surgery. I hope everything goes well. Oh yeah, if you guys enjoyed the stream, hit the like button. Thank you so much. You posted in the True Crime Discord. Okay, if anyone wants to see the 11-year-old body cam getting a felony, Rain posted in the Discord if you guys are in there. I'm so excited to be chilling, drugged up, watching the live. I hope everything goes well, though. I wish you like a speedy recovery, but yeah, that sounds very serious. All right, y'all. Well, that is it for today. Thank you so much for hanging out. I hope y'all had a good one here. Thank you so much. I enjoy, conversing with you guys about this case. It is very crazy. There's a lot going on, and we are just in the very beginning. We're only in, day 6, and we're probably going to get into, what are we thinking, like 6 to 7 week trial? Oh, oh man. It is just starting. It is just starting. All right, y'all. Well, you guys have a good one. Take care, and I guess I'm gonna go eat lunch. Eat some lunch, and then Shiro, you want some snackums? I need to wash my hair too, dude. My hair is fucking gnarly right now. I went play pickleball yesterday, and it was so nasty. Actually, let's get off this camera. Bye, everyone. Have a good one. Take care. Appreciate you guys being here, and thank you so much for keeping it chill. And a little bit of unhinged is fine, but not completely off the rockers. But yeah, guys, I appreciate you guys being here. Yeah, we're gonna eat a late lunch today. Ugh.